the only thing, Peter, the only thing I'm requesting is that you make sure I look good. Make sure I look hot. Oh my God. Wait, what did you say? I'm sorry. I'm so distracted by how good I look.
You like that?
I'm spicy.
That's skinny Indonesian 24. Wow, he knows. Wow. Whoa. Wow, that's yo. I haven't heard that in a while. That's skinny Indonesian 24.
Bro, you gave him throwback so hard it gave him whiplash.
He was like, what? I was like, so what's up, guys? Upper Cubs. Guys,
all right.
Welcome to the Indah G.
Welcome. Do you talk about how you're a third culture kid a lot on the internet? Is that common information that people know about
you? It's not common information, but for those who know me, they know. But I don't put it out there.
Yeah.
But people do know that I was raised abroad, but I don't talk about it heavily as who I am. But yeah, it's very interesting. By the way, thank you, Indah G, for having me.
No, thank you for being on.
Fun fact, I was the one who actually called her. I wanted to talk to her, because I'm going to be completely honest.
Lay it on me.
I'm actually kind of jealous of Indah G. Because she has I'm trying to find the right diction for it. Diksi niya harus benar. She has the capability and the freedom to speak about stuff that I vicariously live through you. Right? When I see you, you're like, damn, this girl speaks straight from the heart. And itu mahal. Di zaman sekarang, people are so afraid to get canceled for whatever their opinions are. And you speak about your family life, politics, your religion,
sex life.
And it's very refreshing. Whether or not people disagree or agree with it, you are, I'm not trying to kiss your ass, I'm not, but you are a beacon of like, not hope, because that sounds very cheesy, but a beacon of like, damn. A beacon of damn. Does that make sense?
A beacon of damn.
A beacon of damn, right? Where people are like, bahasa kasarnya anjing, masih ada orang-orang berani ngomong kayak gini. So I was actually one called Indah G to, can I be in your show? Immediately so, to promote my musical Polarisasi.
So when am I going to get a free ticket?
After this.
Okay.
After this, Indah G.
That's all I wanted.
But look, I know I'm here to promote Polarisasi. 2 Februari 2024, 3 Februari 2024. 4 Februari di Geraha Bakti Budaya Taman Ismail Marzuki Jakarta. Please watch it. Please buy the tickets. But you know what? Screw that. We're going to talk about real shit.
Yeah.
I didn't come here just to promote my show. But please do watch for all you diaspora kids, third culture kids. But yeah, so I don't know why I'm introing in your show. I'm so sorry.
Oh my God, no, dude,
so
free range.
Yeah.
No, dude, free range.
Yeah.
You do whatever you
what
want.
What do you call your people who watch your stuff?
Oh my God, I have no idea.
Give
me a suggestion.
The OGs.
The OG.
Because you're in the G, right?
Yeah.
The OGs is like orang-orang G.
Oh.
So, get it? OG is for original gangster, right?
Yeah.
But since you're in the G,
yeah.
People, welcome to the in the G. Kalian the OGs.
Yes, the OGs. No, and I love that. Like what you said, it's like a mix of Indonesian and the English the messaging behind it. Oh, okay. No, I love that. I might actually go with it. Marketing genius.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You get that for free. That's for you. That's all
free of charge. No, so yeah, you were saying about how it's been a while since you've been able to like articulate yourself fully in English.
Yeah, because I do speak in English with my brothers and my circle of friends, but
you have two brothers?
I have 2 brothers.
Okay.
So I have Joe and Kajo and Kapaska. Kapaska is a doctor.
Who's the oldest?
Kapaska.
You're the?
I'm the youngest. Go bungsu.
So Joe's the middle.
Joe's the middle.
The neglected one.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. No, I can't.
No offense, Joe. Because your fiance, by the way, he's engaged.
Yeah, I'm engaged.
I did not. Is that public information?
It's public information.
Oh, okay. No, I did not know that. I know you had a boo, but I just didn't know that you guys were engaged.
We're getting married next year.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
When did y'all get engaged?
So a very good date. The 22nd of February, 2022.
Wow.
So 2202 2022.
I know you planned that.
Reverse it. If you reverse it, it's the exact same thing.
Wow.
It's a palindrome.
Like, what is the summary of your life up from birth up until now? Like, just a quick summary.
I'm going to make it as quick as possible. I was born in Jakarta.
So you was born here?
Born in Jakarta.
Okay.
Until I was 6 months old, my mom, who is a diplomat, was posted to Norway. So we lived in Norway until I was 5 years old. Came back to Indonesia.
Yeah.
For 2 years.
Okay.
Went away again to Copenhagen, Denmark. So I spent like 5 years of my teenage years, my primary...
Your formative years.
Formative years
yeah.
in Denmark, Copenhagen. Came back again for 2 years here. And I spent my high school for 3 years in India, in New Delhi.
Oh, okay.
And then for university, I came back to UI, to FAUI. So I'm the opposite of the mainstream diaspora. Usually, I'm not saying it's, again, usually, not everybody. Usually it's TK, SMP, SMA sampai di sini, and then you go abroad for university.
Yes.
I'm the complete opposite.
Yeah.
So I'm an opposite, so edgy, so indie, third culture kid, where I'm the opposite of that. Yeah. So that's a very brief summary of that.
Yeah, you're the complete inverse of me. So I was born here, I was raised here,
right.
But I've been the international school system my whole life. Oh, also I want to ask, when you did high school in New Delhi, were you in an Ambani school?
No. I wasn't, but I know who Ambani is.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Mukesh Ambani, richest guy in India.
Yeah.
I went to British International School. I went to the British International School in New Delhi.
Okay, but you went to an international school.
I went to an international school. When I was in Denmark, I went to an international school as well, but it was a Danish international school. It's called Rugårds International School. So it's a Catholic Danish international school.
Right.
So they taught Danish and English. When I was in Norway, I went to a German school.
Right.
My mom put me in a German school in Norway. Very weird.
So you speak German?
I speak German, yeah.
God damn. What? Sorry. What's the language in Denmark?
Oh, Danish.
Danish, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not.
But I'm more fluent in Danish than I can speak German like conversationally.
Okay.
Danish I understand pretty well. Hindi I speak conversationally in Hindi.
Okay.
English is my base language, and Indonesian is my now I would say it's my strongest language besides English.
This is the thing that I don't know if you either relate to, or maybe like some of your friends, like they relate to the way that I grew up. Like when you grew up in the international school system, it's so bubbled.
Okay.
So it's like I grew up in Jakarta, but not really, because the reality of what everyday life is like for the average Jakartan or the average Indonesian is immensely different, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that. And then I moved to the States. I was in Los Angeles, California for like, from 2016 to like 20. I moved back officially like 2021.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you spent all your university there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then so I moved back.
You stayed there through COVID then?
I stayed there like
the COVID years.
I was there when COVID happened, yes.
Ah, okay.
Complete fucking mayhem.
Right.
Yeah, and then I came back here in 2021, and like I wanted to talk to you, like not even just for content, but literally just like to get advice, I guess. When did you move back here?
I moved back here
permanently
after high school, 2012.
2012, and then you went to UI, right?
I went to UI 2012. I graduated 2017.
But you moved back here 2012, so yeah, you've been here a while.
I've been here a while.
You've been here a while, like whereas I've only been here since like the end of 2021, you know. So it's like comparatively, like I'm still pretty new back here, and like. What was it like when you moved back here in 2012? Granted, it was like a completely different time. I suppose you could make that argument, but I mean, for me personally, and this is not a secret, like I struggle a lot. I struggle the most with language barrier, right? And you know, we talked over the phone, you were telling me how you enrolled in a UI 6 months language program.
Yeah, and it wasn't really an UI 6 months language program. It was my personal 6 months language program where I learned Bahasa Indonesia by myself. Oh, so it wasn't facilitated by UI? It wasn't facilitated by UI. So I learned Indonesian by myself. I had intense learning by myself. I went online, looked at the courses because I had to speed run my Indonesian. So to answer your question, I had a complete reverse culture shock. When I came back to Indonesia, I had a very international kids and Scandinavian mindset. When I went to UI, fun fact, many people don't know, one of my first viral videos back then on Skinny News 24 was a video called Modus. Okay. I don't know if people out there know.
Sorry, what does Modus mean?
Exactly. That was the thing that I asked people. That's exactly what my problem was. So here's the story. I came back from international school. Yeah. You know how we meet, right? In international school, like, hey, Indah. Yeah. We hug. Yeah. We say, hey, what's up? And then we dab each other and we hug. Yeah. Do you do that? Yeah. The whole thing. International school is like, you know, you do that. With boys and girls. Yep. So I got into UI. I transferred the same culture I had to the UI kids. Tiba-tiba semua anak-anak UI manggil gue modus. I was like, what is this? I was like, what? Modus. Apparently modus is when you're trying to when you're trying to get close to an opposite sex in order to be with them or be close with them.
Is it a singkatan? Is it a...
Yeah, no, modus actually is a Latin word called modus operandi. It's actually a Latin word, but they made it into an Indonesian slang where like, Indah, mau makan ini nggak? Cie modus.
Oh.
Indah, you want me to drop you home after this? Cie modus.
Oh, okay.
I was as confused as you are now.
Oh, yeah.
So I came back, I was like, and then I talked to my brother, because my brother also spent life abroad, and back then my brother was already about to graduate from UI. He took nuclear physics.
Yeah.
So when he did nuclear physics, I was like, Kak Jo, kenapa sih Andovi selalu dipanggil modus? And then Joe was like, Andovi, in Indonesia, when you meet new people, especially girls, you don't meet them the way you greet when you greet each other international school kid. When I went to British International School in New Delhi, I met my girlfriends, not my girlfriends, my friends who are girls.
Your girlfriends?
Yeah, girlfriends, but people get like, oh, girlfriends. I'm like, yo, what's up? How are you?
Yeah.
If you didn't do your nails when I came in, I would have hugged you and said, hey, how are you? Right? And it would be completely normal.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be like Andovi's trying to get close to Indah G for whatever reason. So that happened, and that was my first viral video ever. In 2012, I don't know if you guys watch it. I made a video called Modus where I'm like, hey, so what's up, guys? My name's Andovi, and I just came back from India. Kenapa gue dipanggil Modus? And that video went crazy back in the day.
Yeah, back
in the day, viral was 50,000 views. Back in the day, YouTube wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Nobody created anything.
Yeah.
Because of that video, people were like, who is this guy speaking in half English, half Indo, making a sketch on YouTube? Mind you, a sketch on YouTube back in the day was not a thing.
Okay.
So people were like, who is this kid? It got big, it got big, it got big. It got big in the UI circle. Now, in the UI circle, one of my seniors was Raditya Dika.
Who's also been on this show.
Yeah, Radit. And Radit had a show called Malam Minggu Miko.
Yes, I've heard of that. Yeah.
Nah, Radit called me and says, hey, Andovi, do you want to play for Malam Minggu Miko season 2? So that's why I replaced Rian in season 1. I played as Dofi in Malam Minggu Miko 2. So that was the start of my entertainment career. I continued on with Skinny in season 24. So, long story short, it started because I was very shocked that people thought I was trying to get close to girls. I wasn't, honestly. I was just being a normal kid saying, hey, how are you? And it's like, hey, apaan sih ini bule modus. Bule Depok, karena UI is in Depok.
Yeah.
Right? Bule Depok modus. And I was like, bro, this is how I speak. So my reverse culture shock actually birthed my entertainment career. Right. Which is very, very ironic yet beautiful at the same time.
Well, we have very similar starts because like I got my start on Jakarta Uncensored. And it was like the first video that I did with them was talking about how I grew up in the international school system. So they were just basically talking about like they were mostly asking like shallow questions in my opinion, like shallow questions of like bener nggak sih anak kalau sekolah di JIS itu harus tasnya itu minimum harganya 50 juta or so, something like it's based off of a lot of stereotypes and assumptions of like what rich kids would be like in an international school and all that type of stuff. And like but I mean, I think what kind of got me started was like they saw like, oh, like there's this kid like she's Indonesian but like she grew up here, but she grew up so bubbled, and then like she coming back here. There's like all these like culture shocks, and like I think for a lot of Indonesians like that's a very entertaining thing for them. Right. So like I see that part. Like there's nothing wrong about whenever I have like my little culture shock moments. Even up until now, I've been here since like the end of 2021, and I still have like my culture shock moments.
Which is weird because at the end of the day, we're Indonesian, right? We're Indonesian.
Okay, but are we?
Nah, that's not. Now let's go to that philosophical debate.
Yeah.
Right? What does it mean being Indonesian?
Yeah.
And I always have this. As a third culture kid, that's always the question that mungkin orang-orang lain kira tuh lebay. But for us, it's a proper identity. It's a proper thing that we actually struggle with.
On God, bro. On God.
Like,
no, I've been to therapy. I went to therapy for years because of this shit, bro. It's not lebay at all. It's just because like when you grow up, especially someone like you, I grew up like in one spot. Like I grew up in Jakarta, just a very bubbled and like American appropriated version of Jakarta. But you deadass went all over the place. And when you grow up, especially during your formative years, not really having like not really anchored to one place, that you're not tethered to one place. And on the one hand, you can make the argument, well, that kind of like liberates you, right? Like you are a global citizen. But at the same time, like what are you a citizen of?
That's exactly the problem I had. And it's a philosophical question, right? There's two train of thoughts. There's the Latin word is called ius sanguine or ius soli. Ius soli means, are you someone because of where you were born at? So that means land.
Yeah.
Or are you sanguine? Or are you someone that's who you are is related to your blood, to your bloodline? But there's actually a third one that's not official. So it's actually not you sanguine or you soli. This is my own thing. It's not from the books or anything. It's actually where you were raised and how you were raised in your environment. Right? There's not a Latin name for it.
Yes.
But I really feel that us, I mean, I'm assuming, of course, we're a mixture of all of that. I was born in Jakarta.
Yeah.
But I was raised abroad.
Yeah.
My parents are so Indonesian. Love them to death. Love my mom. Love my, rest in peace, dad. So I love both my mom and dad to death. But like, it's so weird in the sense that they're so Indonesian. And I am so Indonesian in ways I can't explain. But I am so not Indonesian in other ways in which I can't explain.
I feel that.
Like, is it because of my upbringing? Is it because of my blood? Is it because of that? I realize that I'm very privileged that my mom is a diplomat and I had to go abroad and everything. And it gives, if there's one thing that I could say about myself, if there's one skill that I know, I am very adaptive.
Yeah.
Because I was forced to adapt in every country.
Yeah.
In Denmark, I was bullied. They call me because in Denmark, the bullying was if you're brown, they call you Pakistani. Because that's the only thing they know. Because hey,
racist.
In Denmark, right? In Norway, I don't remember when I was bullied. In India, people call me. They don't know if Indonesia existed, so they call me Filipino, right? They call me Thai. So it's a very confusing thing. So everywhere I go, my humor was my escape. Because if people make fun of you, you either accept it, or you fight it back, or you accept it and you turn it back as humor.
Yep.
So I had to do that with my life. So I had to be the funny guy. Not funny as in a stand-up comedy way, but like funny as in, okay, people are going to make fun of me. So that's how I adapted with all my life is.
Yeah.
I had to be the funny guy.
Right.
So yeah, where were we again? I have ADHD as well. So I had to be adaptive. When I went back to Indonesia, I had to adapt myself to being an Indonesian.
Right.
And it's hard because what does it mean to be Indonesian? What do you think it means to be Indonesian, Indah? Like what?
You're not Indonesian just because your parents are Indonesian or like you have Indonesian blood coursing through you.
Yeah.
You're not even really Indonesian just because you grew up here, right? Because that's a very interesting thing that I've like thought about. One of my best friends, like he's born and raised here his entire life, but because he grew up the same way that I did, bubbled up in like an international school circle where it's like he does not speak any Indonesian.
Right.
Well, he speaks. You speak a little bit. He speaks a little. I know he'll be watching. He speaks a little bit, but it's like for the amount of time that he has lived here. You know what I mean? But even living in Indonesia doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to be exposed to the authentic culture. Yeah. Like you're not going to be attuned to the culture. You're not going to speak the language. But it really, I think the strongest thing, ultimately everything falls back to the people that you are surrounded with. Like even, it's not just about, especially culture, but even with language. The fastest way to learn and pick up language and also like the cultural contexts behind certain words and like modus, for example, like it's through environment, it's through surroundings, through the people around you. I also want to make a comment about how it's the same way with, even though I didn't move around as much as you did, but when you were in an international school and when you're in an international environment, one thing is definitely true about how us international kids that, like move around like you a lot, and then like even me, I eventually moved out. We have to be adaptive. We have to be resilient. And even just like growing up, right? Part of how that resilience manifested was through how we have to interact with people from different cultures, from different walks of life, whether it be culture, whether it be faith. And that's just something that we grew up used to. And I find that very interesting when we were hopping on the call, and we were talking about polarization, right? And we can talk about your baby for a while. But how I think people like us with an international education, like one of the best gifts that our education and our upbringing has given us, is because we're forced to be surrounded by different opinions and different beliefs and different ways of life, that it forces us to be able to see everything through all sides. Yeah. Right?
It does, yeah.
Yeah. Which, I mean, ties to polarization. Like I've talked about this with a friend of mine. Shout out to Brandon if he's watching this. But
shout out, Brandon.
Yeah, but if like, the world would be a much better place if, number one, people could travel a lot more.
Yeah.
For sure. If people could travel a lot more, and travel, when I say travel, I don't mean you go to Paris and then you go, shopping at the fucking, what's it called? The Louvre. The Louvre. Have you been to France?
I've been to France, but when I was very small.
Okay, when I say travel, I don't mean you go to Paris and you like go shopping at the Louvre. Like I'm talking like you travel and you actually get to meet the locals and like maybe like live there. The world would be a much better place if also just people lived abroad for some time.
Right. If they have the means to, of course. If they have the means to, I agree.
And in an ideal world, I think everybody should be able to have the means to, but I'm idealistic, so.
Yeah. No, you should be idealistic. Yeah. I mean, I know that to comment on that point, like, it's okay to be idealistic. It's in the definition of the word itself, to be ideal. Why shouldn't we strive for something that's ideal? That's literally in the word, right?
Ironically, sometimes being too idealistic is what shoots me in the foot. I don't know about you. Are you idealistic or are you more realistic?
I'm very idealistic.
Yeah, same here.
I'm very idealistic. And you're right. It shoots me in the foot in many ways. But I don't know any other way to live not a happy life. Because happiness is very subjective.
Right.
I don't know how to live any other way that's true to who I am other than being idealistic.
Yeah.
You're gonna get so much hate for it, whatever. You're gonna get so much backlash for it. But it is what it is, right? And one of my idealistic projects is this musical. And if I can jump on it again.
Go ahead while I'm eating fries.
So, I'm making this musical because, listen, I love Broadway. I love West End. Musicals are my shit. I made a musical a couple of years ago called DPR Musical. A musical about DPR. Please watch it. It's on a retired channel called Skinny Indonesian 24.
Lu nggak kena masalah hukum kan?
Long story short, we almost did. But we did, but it's a very long story. If I go there, it's going to be another...
All right.
So, I made this musical spending a lot of my own money. Because I want to show, especially Indonesians, first-time voters and Gen Z, why is it that in every election cycle, we are so polarized? We are polarized because, in my opinion, social media has exacerbated and has intensified that polarization. Yep. And I'm trying to show this through my musical. The musical is not about Prabowo Anies Ganjar. No, it's a fictional music. Fictional. Sorry, forgive my English. It's fictional musical about me being a calon presiden and Kajo being a calon presiden. Us two, we're doing this pemilu. Ada 5 mahasiswa and these 5 students want to create a better Indonesia. Tapi because of the pemilu, they're gonna fight against each other. This musical is gonna take place 10 to 12 days before our real election, which is the 14th of February 2024. I want the first-time voters and the Gen Z and all you diaspora kids who are watching this or whatever, please watch this musical. Forget about my pockets and forget about me. I truly believe that if this could be an IP or intellectual property in which not only 6 shows, we can spread it around Indonesia. This message could be spread like, stop fighting, guys. Lu mau pilih Prabowo, lu mau pilih Anies, mau pilih Ganjar, lu mau suka Jokowi, lu suka siapa? I don't care. You need to look at the reason why are you so polarized and why are you so gua harus sama pasangan A, gua sama B, gua sama C. No, there's a reason behind it. And this musical explores that reason. I don't want to spoil everything. Yeah. But one of the ways is social media.
Right. For the people that are on top, it doesn't matter what field you're in, whether you're in politics or in business or quite literally like media, anything. If people that are on top, they're not competing against each other, they're collaborating with one another, right? Oftentimes we get so quickly divided and polarized and we're yelling at each other, we're screaming at each other, we're villainizing and demonizing each other on social media. We're so polarized, not realizing that polarization is part of some of these politicians' tactic. Yeah, it's part of the strategy so that it distracts you from the thing that you're actually supposed to be focusing on.
Amen.
Like that I don't know if that's a spoiler to your musical, but like
you wow. Thank you. Did you read my script? Did you read that? Did you?
I snuck into your house last night at 3 a.m. Went through your files.
Honestly, that's one of the things that I wanted to point out is the people on the top, whoever they are.
We're not calling a name.
We're not calling anyone out. But whoever at the top, this is part of their strategy. right?
Bro, I keep telling people like, okay, we don't even gotta keep it to Indonesia. Like, look at the US, for example. Do y'all really think, bro, y'all really think Joe Biden and Donald Trump hate each other? Do y'all really think? No, they're kikiing on the same fucking yacht somewhere in like fucking like Florida.
Right? They're in the Hamptons somewhere doing something.
Yeah, they're in the Hamptons like doing whatever the fuck together. You know, they're kikiing on the same fucking yacht. That's what that's what I've been telling people.
It's been a strategy since time immemorial. It's called, I love Latin words. I'm sorry, I've been saying like divida et impera, right? To
What does
divide
that mean?
and conquer.
Divide and conquer. Yeah, there you go.
Right. It's the Romans used it, the British used it, politicians use it.
Also, consider this, you guys, for all the people listening at home, how political experts have compared Indonesia's political landscape, but I would argue it's not just Indonesia. Like, you can compare this to the political landscape, like in a lot of other countries, like America, for example. Like, if we're just going to talk about Indonesia for a little bit, considering how political experts have deadass compared the Indonesian political landscape to basically an entire series of Game of Thrones, like that should tell you a lot, right? No, because you know how in Game of Thrones, all of the different leaders of the different houses, right? They put up this facade of there being rivalry between them, and like, you know, on the outside, it looks like all these different houses and all these different leaders, like they got different agendas, they got different values and priorities that they're striving forwards and like that they're trying to pursue. When in reality, when you actually watch Game of Thrones, all these leaders behind the scenes are canoodling with one another, right? Like they have shared goals that are
sleeping with one another.
Oh yeah, so, yeah. That only happens in Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
that
of course. Only happens in Game of Thrones. Yeah.
Only.
Wink.
Yeah, yeah. And how a lot of they're canoodling with one another.
Yeah.
They're working with one another behind the scenes, and to achieve shared goals that are not rooted at all in differences in political ideologies and none of that. No, it's like it's rooted in the mutual desire for power.
Yeah.
That's why this topic, like, it's been on my mind a lot. I think it's been on a lot of people's minds, to be honest, just because like the election is literally like right around the corner, and you can just feel it on the internet. I don't know about yours.
I can feel it. Everyone.
Dude.
You make one comment about one thing. Yesterday, by the way, I watched the because I have a nobar for the presidential debate and the
What's a nobar?
Nonton bareng.
Oh.
So with the vice presidential debate and the presidential debate, people ask me an honest question. Who do you think won the debate? For the first debate, I honestly said, on a debating standpoint, I'm not saying if you win the debate, you must win, you must become a better president. No. These are two very mutually exclusive facts. Just because you're a good debater does not mean you can become a good leader.
Yep.
So people ask me, who do you think won? I said the first debate, Anis.
Right.
People went batshit insane. People went Andovi, internet went mad.
And it's like, it's so frustrating because it's a mix of they're taking you out of context,
right?
And that they're taking you out of context because they don't even see the context in which you are saying that. You're not saying just because you said point blank Anis won the debate just because he's a very good debater. He's very articulate. He's good with words, right? And then they hear that, and in their brains they go, oh, that means he's voting for Anis. It's like, sweet, no.
And you know what's funny? In the G, before I said Anis won, I even said what I said just now. Guys, just because I'm saying this does not mean... I even prefaced it. I said it. Boom. And then for the vice presidential debate, I said the same thing. Who do you think won? I honestly, on a debating standpoint, doesn't mean that they answered most questions, but I think Gibran had a strong showing. I didn't say he won.
Yes.
A strong showing compared to Mahfud and Chaimin.
Yup.
Batshit insane. People went batshit insane again. Andovi, how dare you? And I'm like, now, imagine that 100,000 times because of the internet now.
Yep.
And my musical explores that idea. Why are you so polarized? Why are you not? Please watch it.
Do you, on this topic?
Yeah, please go on. Yeah.
Do you read? Do you like to read a lot of books?
Love to.
Stolen Focus by Johan Hari.
I don't know that book though.
Okay, add that on your list because Stolen Focus by Johan Hari. He's I'm pretty sure he's a British journalist. It's a brilliant book, and it talks about exactly what we're talking about. How not specifically on how social media has exacerbated political polarization, which by the way is you can look it up. Like there's plenty of research, plenty of research that explores that. But Stolen Focus mostly talks about how social media is rotting our brains. It also talks about how you could argue ADHD, like in this day and age everybody's kind of ADHD just because of like the
Social
environment
media.
that we're in, but it talks a lot just about how social media, and specifically it talks about the algorithm, because I know you like talking about the
Love the
algorithm,
algorithm.
and how tying to political polarization as well, and how a lot of us are getting our news on politics, and like we're learning a lot about this political election that is like right around the corner on February 14th.
February 14th.
A lot of people are getting their information from social media, which look, it's not that I disagree with that, right? Social media, number one, when used by good people, can achieve wonderful things.
I agree.
And social media is the best way to mobilize information.
Agree.
Right? But also keeping in mind that social media, the way that these algorithms are set up, y'all need to know this. There's so much research, and I think the book, Johan Hari's book, he talks about this. Guess what I'm pretty sure you know this. What are the two emotions? Like if you want to go viral and if you want your content to do absolutely well, what are the two emotions that you got to trigger?
It's outrage and sadness.
Yeah,
anger
there you go.
and sadness.
It's anger. It's anger and sadness. But compare the two. If it's between anger versus sadness, it's anger. It's anger. So you just think about how the algorithm is literally set up to polarize you, to divide you. It's set up to piss you off. That's why a lot of the times I tell myself, this is something that I really got to work on in 2024. Please, Lord, do not let me fail this time. Because I honestly, like, I've gotten myself into a lot of trouble because like I would spend too much time on social media.
Right.
And then you go down this rabbit hole of like, you don't know what information that you're taking in and whether or not it's even true or not. But it boils a lot of these like negative emotions. And then when you don't have an outlet, and then the problem with Gen Zs like me, you're a millennial, right?
I'm a millennial, yeah, 94.
But I'm a Gen Z, so I'm very social media heavy.
Right.
And for a lot of us Gen Zs, like, for the Gen Z listeners, like they can relate to this. It's a problem when your outlet for all that anger is on social media.
Yep.
Especially when you're someone like me.
I agree.
Yeah. So I just, my goodness, by 2024, I really that's why I picked up boxing.
Yeah, I saw your story yesterday. You were boxing. Yeah.
A lot of people they replied back to that. They were like, you look like Hello Kitty punching the air. But that's why I picked up boxing. And it's just we're living in such, you want to talk about polarization and like during the times of social media as well, like it's a very scary time to be in. And that's why I really appreciate that the work that you are doing, right? I think about that a lot too whenever I scroll on social media. I be talking about this shit at 3 a.m. with my friends, bro. How like we're on social media and we get all of these news on like a conflict, anything, like whether it's Israel Palestine or like Rohingyas or fucking like elections, right? US elections also coming up. And like you consume so much of this information, and the thing is, at surface level, everybody knows that a lot of the things on social media, number one, there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation. And number two, a lot of people know that there's something about the algorithm that's meant to kind of like, to put it crassly, brainwash you lah. Yeah, to ngomong kasarnya aja kayak gitu. But you know that at surface level, but it's when and I feel like you can relate to this, like when you're actually scrolling and you're scrolling and you're scrolling and you're scrolling, you're 3 hours into scrolling, you forget that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
You go down that, there's a term for it. There's a doomsday scrolling.
Doom scrolling.
Yeah, doom scrolling, where you just, and then you're like, wait, what time is it? It's already night outside.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But it's that at surface level that you got to be careful of like misinformation and disinformation, but then at the same time, like you come across this one content and it's so easy for you to believe it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And it's sad because, I mean, to continue on your thought, it's just that, look, please watch what I'm about to say. It's been explained perfectly well watch the Social Dilemma on Netflix. Mm-hmm. Please watch it. For all the OGs out there.
Social
Dilemma on Netflix.
Okay. Yes.
It explains how. I don't want to be a boring professor. I really don't. Mm-hmm. I really don't, guys. I'm not a boring professor. Please.
No, the children are here for it. Go for it.
Everything is designed to grab our attention. Our attention is the number one commodity that every single company is trying to grab, because our attention is finite. Right? There's a certain amount of attention that we have per day. Mm-hmm. Whether it's 11 hours, whether it's 30 minutes, doesn't matter. When everything is designed to grab your attention and the business model is designed to feed off and create money out of that system, mm-hmm. Everyone has their biases.
Yes.
You have your bias, I have my bias. Mm-hmm. You like French fries, I don't like French fries. I don't know. I'm the same. Tim bubur diaduk sama tim bubur diaduk. That's the joke in Indonesian whatever.
Bubur diaduk.
Yeah, okay. I'm bubur tidak diaduk. See, polarization.
Fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Oh, look at that. This is fine. By its essence, being polarized and having different is actually fine. What happens is that we can't come not to a middle ground. We can't come to an understanding where I'm like, Indah Ji, kok lu suka bubur diaduk? You say, Andovi, kok lu suka bubur diaduk? Because of the design of the social media and algorithm, how it grabs our attention, and because of money and all that stuff, we don't even come to a point where you say, Andovi, I understand why you like bubur diaduk. And where I say, Indah, even though you're weird, I understand why you like bubur diaduk. We don't even cross that point anymore.
Can I add a caveat?
Yeah, of course.
You don't even gotta say that you understand why I like my bubur diaduk.
Yeah.
You can deadass just be like, dude, I don't understand it. Like, look, I don't get it, but you do you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And we're not even in that stage anymore.
Yeah.
Some people, here's what's the craziest part. If you zoom out more, some people are so polarized, they don't even know, wait, ada bubur yang gak diaduk. Okay, I know that's a bad analogy. Of course, semua orang...
No, but I get it.
We get it, right?
No, that's actually a brilliant analogy. Yeah.
Of course, people know. Okay, let's forget the bubur diaduk. Okay, this okay. Some people are so entrenched in their own information matrix, where you're like, especially in politics. Wait, did that guy really say this? Even the fact that the guy or girl said something is not even registering in their matrix of information that you feel like, ini nggak mungkin.
Yeah.
And that's the danger. Before, when we were polarized, we all watched the same thing.
Yeah.
You're going to argue watching the same thing is also a method of propaganda. I get it. Look, this can be, we can talk hours and hours about how watching TV used to be propaganda, radio was propaganda. Of course, I get it. But at least when we're watching TV and we're watching the same thing, when me and Indah Ji watch at 7 p.m. a certain show, we can watch something and you're like, I don't like the show. And you're like, I like the show. But we watch the same thing.
We're getting the same information.
We're going to argue about the same information.
Yep.
What's fucked up about today's society is we don't even get the same information.
Yup. Oh my God, I could go on
The
about
best
that.
analogy I can give, so much bad analogies, but there's two people are trying to find parking. I'm trying to find parking, you're trying to find parking. Usually, when there's only one parking space left, we're going to fight. Indah, that's my parking space. Andovi, that's my parking space. Right now, the question isn't even whose parking space is this. It's, is there even a parking space?
Yeah.
It blows my mind. And you're going to be like, really, Andovi? Trust me.
Oh, no.
It's been used in the US elections for Trump and Hillary and Trump and Biden. Brexit is used in Brexit. It's been used in the Philippines election. It's currently being used in our election. Before you said something about bubbles.
Yes.
How you used to live in a bubble.
Yeah.
You used to live in a bubble because you lived in the international kids bubble. Maybe that was one bubble and everyone surrounded that bubble. Maybe. What's scary now is everyone's in their own little bubble.
Right.
And it's scaled into hundreds of millions.
Right. Because of social media especially.
Right. So everyone's in their own bubble. When a certain presidential candidate says A, yesterday, for the first time in my life, was the most, not yesterday, last Christmas was the most polarizing Christmas I ever had in my family.
Not this Christmas.
This
Christmas. Okay.
Because everyone's talking about the election in 2024.
Yup.
My family went insane. Christmas is ruined. My family is a very politically active family.
My mom as well. Yeah.
So it was insane how, tunggu, enggak kok Ganjar ngomong ini kok, enggak kok Gibran ngomong ini, enggak kok Anies ngomong ini. Fight.
Yep.
We were showing videos. Lu nggak lihat nih dia ngomong kayak gini. Lu nggak. It's come to a point where, no, you never said it. We're fucked. We're in our own rabbit holes.
Yeah. No, and have you ever thought about? No, you want this to get even more fucked up.
Yeah.
Like one level up that, bro. Like when you also reconcile with how now we have AI.
Yeah. Oh God.
Oh my gosh. Because there's that one video that went viral of Putin. It deadass looked like Putin said something. Yeah. It deadass looked and sounded like Putin said that, and it sounded like something that Putin would say. And then Putin put out actual Putin.
Yeah.
Putin Putin. Actually, I don't like saying his name with an English accent. It's a Putin.
Putin.
Yeah, Putin. And then actual Putin actually put out a statement and he was like, that's not me. I didn't say that. It's computer generated.
Right.
And it's like, it blows my mind. So it's like, you also have to deal with how it's not even that we're not getting the same information, but it's that, is the information even correct? Because now we're living in a time where technology has advanced so much that you can just make shit up.
Right.
That's what deepfake pornography is a fucking thing now.
Yes. Okay. And back to Putin. Let's not go as far as Putin. Jokowi has a viral video of him speaking in Mandarin.
Huh? Really?
Okay. Right. Right. It's a proper thing, right? You know, right?
Tapi dia bukan kan dia.
It's AI. However, for people like us, we know it's a joke. We know.
Yes.
Ya lah, ini AI anjing.
Yeah.
Tahu dong. Masalahnya adalah there's a lot of people whose talking point and narration is that Jokowi is antek-antek Cina.
Antek?
Cina.
What's antek?
Like dibayar sama China or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Nah, bayangin bagi orang-orang yang benar-benar percaya itu, seeing that video.
Yeah.
They don't care. They don't, because it's gonna confirm their bias.
Yes. That, and also, I'm so sorry, but the masses, not just here in Indonesia, the masses of the world are just fucking stupid.
Right.
They can't tell that it's fake.
And to be honest, it's our PR untuk membuat kita nggak bego.
Yeah.
It's our homework collectively untuk membuat kita semua bisa lebih critical thinking. I get it. I'm not gonna fault on the masses for being quote unquote stupid.
Yeah.
However, it's so sad that when people see this Jokowi speaking Mandarin video, we know it's a joke.
Yes.
We know it's AI.
Right.
For a lot of people. Tuh kan bener kata gue.
Right.
Tuh kan bener kata gue.
Look, and before I get canceled, I want to elaborate more on like that whole the masses are stupid.
Yeah. I get your point. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, you get what you catch my drift, but I'm just scared like a lot of people don't. So let me just explain. Like when I say, okay, look, the masses are like what I'm trying to say is that the masses. That's why they're called the masses, are largely uneducated.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not vilifying them and I'm not blaming them for being uneducated. Of course, like you got to talk about structural poverty, right? Not everybody has access to the type of education that we have, right?
Exactly.
And there's just a lot of other factors that go into it. But I'm just acknowledging the fact that the masses are uneducated. And then when you live in a world where the masses are this uneducated and then you have technologies like AI and also just like the strategy of political polarization, like it's oh my God, this is why I'm depressed.
No, but that's not a joke actually. But the depression thing. Fun fact: there's been a widely spread study why especially teenage girls in the U.S. because it's the data set is in the U.S. right?
Yeah.
There's a rise in mental health and all that stuff with around Gen Z is because they grew up with social media. They grew up with it. On my age, I'm 29.
You're born 90.
I'm born 94.
4.
Right. So I still remember the time where I had to go to a girl and ask for a number. So I had to be like, I lived to that age. Where I'm like, nomor kamu berapa? So I lived to that age. This day, no, there's no way, right?
No.
Everything is DM, everything is swipe left, swipe right, whatever. Which is fine. I'm not saying that's wrong. However, I'm just putting into context the environment in which the generation below us lives in. Yeah. Especially even though you're technically Gen Z, you're more closer to I than the current generation.
I'm the later tail end of Gen Z because I'm 97.
Right, so you're literally millennial Gen Z.
I'm the cusp of it.
You're the cusp of it. Imagine the people who grew up with social media.
Yeah.
How can you not be depressed when every time you open up your phone, you see the accomplishments of everybody else in your life? Before, in my age, cuma kayak gini, lihat tuh tetangga kamu. Look at your neighbor, anaknya hebat. You only get compared to your neighbor.
Or your brother.
Or your brother or your cousin, right? Yeah. Sekarang, look at this kid in southern China. He's built he's built in satellite. What are you doing in your life?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
No, and see, the thing is when you're getting, okay, it's shit to get compared to your neighbor. Right. But the thing is because they are your neighbor and there's still a degree of like a personal relationship.
Right.
Yeah, you have more of a personal relationship. When you're at least getting compared to your neighbor, at least there's context behind who that neighbor is and like what they've had to do and like who they are in order to achieve what they have. Whereas we're living in a time where because of social media and like how it's given us access to people from like all over the world and news of people from all over the world, we're getting compared to that 12-year-old girl who just made her first $1 million, and because we don't know her personally, right? And like we're not within her vicinity, maybe one context that you're missing is the fact that she's a fucking nepo baby and her parents donated her like, I don't know, like they gave like $500,000 for her to like make like some fucking fucking side business and it just happens to do really well. Also, she's like a fucking mega genius. Like she has an IQ or something. And
I
that's
love
like,
your rant. I love it. I can see the way your brain goes to the story, and I love it. It just goes, and I love it. I
right?
love it.
Like there's just so many like there's context and nuances to everything. That's the thing. I'm telling you guys, like quite literally everything in this world. There is nothing in this world without context, without nuance. And the problem with social media,
Takes out the
especially,
context.
it gives you zero context and zero nuance. Because with social media, the whole strategy and how the algorithm is programmed is that it's gotta be like a black and white thing.
Yeah,
that's how it does well on
that's
social
how
media.
it gets to you. It's one more analogy. I love analogies, guys. I love analogies. Social media is like a car crash.
Yeah. It feels like I'm in one.
When there's a car crash, everybody looks. But that doesn't mean we like it.
Mm-hmm.
But the algorithm, when we look at a car crash, we're like, oh shit, there's a car crash. Looking at it. The way the algorithm sees it, Indah G and Andovi is looking at a car crash. They must like it. Because the algorithm cannot infer or intrinsically find out why we're looking at something.
Yes.
I'm looking at a car crash because it's a car crash. It's a human thing.
Right.
The algorithm only sees it as a set of data in which Indah G and Andovi and 1 million people are looking at this car crash. They must seem to like it.
Yeah.
Feed it more.
Yeah.
Right. Our job, the algorithm's job, and the algorithm is created by people, but the scary part is if you want to go all doomsday, the algorithm cannot be controlled anymore by its people who made it.
Yes.
It's very scary, but I'm not going to go there. It's 10 hours. Our job is for that the data is able to read why we're watching something. And that takes science to a whole nother level.
Yep.
We're watching a car crash because inherently humans are attracted to the car crash.
Right. Or just inherently because it's something that is startling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now social media, everything is startling.
Yeah. Everything is a spectacle
Everything
now.
is like,
right. And it's also the problem is, you know, when you think about how social media is actually a very high responsibility thing to, like for you to be able to be on social media should be something that you are held to high level of responsibility.
Yep.
Like there's a high level of accountability that comes with you being able to reap the benefits of being on social media. And like not a lot of us really take accountability, and we don't really take being on social media as seriously as we should, because the issue is also like you come across a content and you see that it's got like 1 million views or it got like 10 million views, and then suddenly like in the back of people's minds they kind of make the connection that if it has a lot of views it must mean that people like it, like right,
and not necessarily.
Or like if there's or in the context of politics especially, and like tying into misinformation and disinformation, if it got a lot of views it must mean that it's correct.
Yeah,
that is true.
Exactly. But it's not like that.
It's not. Like that.
There's a context, like you said, context to it.
Before I forget, because I'm also ADHD, I need to tell you this. Do you remember the Boston bombing marathon back in
2013, 2012.
12 or 13, the Boston bombing marathon. Get this, there is an actual study. It was an actual study done by Stanford. They surveyed, oh God, I'm gonna link it like in the below this episode, but there's a study that Stanford conducted where they interviewed people that were actually at the Boston bombing marathon. Like when the Boston bombing marathon happened, the people that were there, the people that actually experienced it in real time, they surveyed those people, and then they surveyed just people that were not at the Boston bombing, the Boston Marathon bombing. They weren't on site, but they were keeping up with a lot of news regarding the Boston bombing marathon. And they were surveying them to see their stress levels.
Okay.
The group of people that were not at the Boston bomb, the marathon, that didn't experience the Boston bombing directly, they had a substantially higher stress level compared to the people that were actually there experiencing it in real time. The difference, the biggest difference, the people that were actually at the marathon that experienced it, I mean, you'd reckon like they don't really got to be on social media to know what happened because they were there.
They were there.
Versus the people that were not there and they're getting all their information from social media and like all these, even like just news outlets. It's not just social media.
That's actually very interesting.
Right. But because that's how they got their information, and what type of information are they consuming? Right. Their stress levels, the way that they responded to the event, the stress levels were so much higher in those group of people than the people that were actually there experiencing it in real time. Isn't that insane?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't know about this. Thank you for telling me. Wow. That's actually because they were actually there.
Yeah.
And didn't have to relive it over and over again in social media and all that stuff.
Yeah, but then with social media, it's like that's all you see. Like when tragedies happen, we're seeing that right now with Israel Palestine.
Yeah, we're seeing with every single tragedy is like it's being just because here's not a funny. Here's the sad part is that sadly now, before it was pop cultural events that binded us together. If you like, hear me out. Hear me out. If you like Taylor Swift and I like whatever, if you like indie music and I like rock music, usually there's a pop culture event that united us together. Whatever the pop culture event is, whatever. Now, what unites us as a popular culture is tragedy. Think about it. Think about it. Usually, let's talk about. I remember in my era, the Breaking Bad finale. So when Breaking Bad finale came out, everybody who liked Breaking Bad watched it, right? And we were like, we felt a sense of community worldwide. Everybody watched the Game of Thrones finale. Everybody watched the Breaking Bad finale. Pop culture or things that were not tragedy united us. Now, if you're a Taylor Swift fan, I'm a John Mayer fan. If you're an economics person and I'm a makeup person, if we're anything whatever in our own bubble of human beings, because human beings are different, what is the only thing that unites us? Tragedy.
Oh,
anytime there's a tragedy anywhere, no matter if you're an indie person or I'm a mainstream person, it doesn't matter. Tragedy, we're united. And that sadly creates this huge generation of, now I know why we're so lonely. Because we're not connected by something positive
anymore.
We're connected by something completely negative. That's why there's a rise of loneliness. There's a rise of whatever. Sekarang, if I don't know you, Indah G, I don't know you.
Yeah.
We literally talked on the phone 2 days ago.
Yeah.
If I didn't know who you are, before, I would have been like, Indah, do you like Game of Thrones? And we could be like, yeah, you like Game of Thrones, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's if you like Game of Thrones.
Right.
If Indah likes music, I don't Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
You're a Swiftie, I'm a Swiftie, blah, 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 blah. But now, to find a common topic, I would literally go to you and say, if you haven't ever met, hey, so what do you think about Israel and Palestine?
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing that I know you know.
Right.
You know I know. No matter what our backgrounds are, no matter who I'm with, no matter your circle of friends.
Right.
We both know that shit.
Right.
And I'm not saying Israel-Palestine is not something that we should know about. Of course we should know about.
Of course.
What my point is that tragedy now unites us and not positivity. Which is very sad.
I've been in a lot of situations where the first time I'm meeting them, like dead ass, like within the first 3 minutes of just meeting them, and then the conversation turns very political immediately.
Because it's the only thing we know.
It's the only thing that we know, and it's usually based off of trending current events, and like, of course, usually this is also the problem. It falls back again to what I was mentioning about how, in order for you to do well on these social media platforms, the way the algorithms are set up, again, it's the content that stimulates anger or sadness, right? That's why when you look at the news, CNN, BBC, like when you think about it, all of these like breaking news are always bad news. Like there's never breaking news on like good shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think, the problem also starts there. But I'll be in a lot of situations where immediately off the get-go, and this is very common actually back in LA. I don't know if you've ever been to Los Angeles, but Los Angeles is a very politically charged place.
Yes.
I don't know what it's like in Denmark or like, Europe or India, but LA is a bit of a
very
different
charged,
breed, right? And the thing is, like, I've been in situations where I know that this person, like, they're asking me for my political opinions because it's coming from the angle of like, if you disagree with my political opinion on something, then I don't fuck with you.
Exactly.
Then I don't fuck with you, right? And like, what do you, God, I want to break that down. I just don't know where to even start breaking that down. Like, sometimes I wonder how have we come to this? But at the same time, were our forefathers and like our ancestors, were they any different? Like, what were they talking about back in the...
Right. The thing is, the argument is, there's always been this divide, even before TV.
Yeah.
Right? The argument is always that. It's just that now it's so, the word is supercharged.
Yeah.
Everything is just supercharged. Before, I'm assuming in LA, if you're Republican or Democrat, you're not gonna maybe hang out with each other.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe you're like, okay, you're Republican, whatever, you're Trump, you're Biden, whatever. But now it's like, it's so supercharged.
Yeah.
Like, Indah G, your X, your Y,
Yeah.
screw you.
Right.
Like, holy shit, calm down. You know, like,
Right.
that's the sad part. And yeah, again, look, guys, I know we've been bashing social media. Don't get us wrong. Social media made my career. YouTube made me who I am. Look, I get it. Okay, I don't have to disclaim about that. Right? But just please, guys, just especially for the first time voters and Gen Z. Y'all, how many of you, be honest, how many of you are voting for our current presidential candidates because dia gemoy, because dia suka lari, atau because dia pintar ngomong dan suka slepet-slepet pakai sarung? How many?
No, and how many of you guys are only voting for certain candidates because your friends are voting for them or your parents told you to vote for them, right? Like, it's also like people don't do enough of their due diligence, not even just like in the instance of like where, let's say, they hear news of somebody doing something or like a certain content, like they don't even do their due diligence in checking whether or not that's actually even true.
Exactly.
But also like they don't even do their due diligence when it comes to making big decisions, like like who we're voting for in the elections. So I wanna ask you, this is kind of ties to what we're talking about. Do you believe in agreeing to disagree?
Do I believe in agreeing to disagree?
And especially, and then on top of that, if historically that has always been a thing, like, is it still a thing now?
Wow. That's a very hard question to answer.
Right?
So I agree to disagree.
Because here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Like on the one hand, like we're talking about polarization, right? And how we antagonize one another so much so quickly on the basis of disagreements. And here's the thing that we got to reconcile with, right? Like, this world is too diverse for there to be anybody out there that is in 100% agreement with you on every single thing. You know what I mean? So, mau nggak mau, you have to learn how to agree to disagree. I think the question for a lot of people is like, where's the
line?
Where do you draw the line, right? Because
that's a great question.
Because I don't think you can agree to disagree on everything, right? Because like I feel like there are certain things that are just completely non-negotiable.
For example, I know a lot of flat earthers are gonna kill me for this. But when people talk about flat Earth, right? There is no agreeing to disagree, right? There is a certain factual thing. If we say, hi, this French fry is yellow. Yeah. You can't say, I agree to disagree. Right. So I agree with you there that there are certain things that you can't agree to disagree. Right. Right?
Well, but if I said that this French fry is blue, like, that's not something, like, that doesn't fall within the realm of agreeing to disagreeing anymore. Doesn't fall, that's probably, I'm colorblind. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. If I said that this French fry is blue, you know, but...
I'm going to try to tackle this question. My mom's a diplomat, so I'm going to give a diplomatic answer, but not really. Okay. I'm going to give a straight to my heart answer. I have a very specific floor or line. As long as what you believe in value-wise does not harm the other person physically and mentally. Mentally is a big, vague, gray area, right? Because we don't know what harms other people mentally.
Yeah, that's subjective.
So let's just say physically. As long as my belief does not harm Indah G physically, you have the right to say. Now, it's a slippery slope. And then that becomes a slippery slope, right? Right? I know. Once we go to the slippery slope argument, but I am very liberal. I forgot ada diksinya, ada pemilihan katanya. Tapi gini, my father went to prison for fighting against President Suharto. So proper. So because my father was an activist, he fought for the right to speak and to be free. And that mattered to me a lot. Up until now, until my father's passing away in 2019, in his wheelchair, he couldn't walk, he couldn't move. He fought to vote in the 2019 election. And we made sure that was one of the last things my father did. So within that context, for me, freedom is everything. Yeah. Because my dad fought for it. Those who forgot what it was like when people took the freedom away from you will never understand. Yep. That's why in the beginning of this talk, I spoke to Indah G. Indah, I'm jealous of you. You have this freedom to speak about things that I'm scared of. So the word is actually not liberalism, it's freedom.
Okay,
You
I see.
are free to speak about values as long as it does not harm you physically. If I go in a G, I don't like your hair. I punch you, right? And then
Yeah.
I'm not free to do that, but
Yeah.
I'm free to say, Indah, I don't like your hair.
Right. Yeah. You are at liberty.
I'm at liberty.
Yeah.
Then maybe that's the word, liberty, freedom. So that's the thing where, but then that becomes a very slippery line. Like, what happens when you say that certain races are not better than others? It becomes very. What is freedom then? If I can say that, Indah, because of you and who you are, because you eat French fries,
Right.
you're a piece of fucking shit. Holy shit, Andovi. Because I eat French fries, it's tough. There's no right answer. There's no right answer.
And I'm not expecting you to have any of the right answer. I just wanted to pick your brain and see like what your train of thought was around that. For me, and I think about this a lot, right? Like how, again, I really implore people to, if you have contentions with this, like you are in for a really, really hard time going through this world, because like if you go about forming your relationships and determining who you like and who you support and, you know, who you hang out with, and, you know, just based off of whether or not they agree with all of your political opinions and your values and your way of life and all of your perspective, then you are going to be left with absolutely nobody in the end, because there is not a single person in this world that 100% agrees with you on every single thing. And even if you do share the same stance, for example, like I'm going to assume that the both of us are pro-Palestine here. Right? Yeah. The both of us are pro-Palestine. Yeah. But our perspectives as to why we are pro-Palestinian may be different, right? And it's not even just that, like even if between two people that are on the same stance, but the perspective on why we are at that same stance is different. And the hard part is that there are people to the extent where the both of us could be pro-Palestine, but then if you have a different perspective, like
then it's like, oh, you're not,
and then they start putting words in your mouth, and like they start painting you in a certain light and like making accusations about you and all that type of shit, right? I've had people burn bridges with me, not me burn bridges with them, but because like they, you know, I put out a political, like I have a certain political view or like political opinion, and then, you know, they're just like, oh no, like that's it, I disagree with you on there. So I've been on like the receiving end of people doing that to me, and so this is why I've landed on the conclusion that I've landed on, where I will agree to disagree with you, and even if we do disagree, that won't mean that I will vilify you, I will villainize you, and I will burn bridges, and, you know, like, and I talk shit about you behind your back. Like, no. The bottom line for me is if I can at the very least respect the integrity of your thought process.
I see. As long as I can respect the integrity of your thought process.
Right, yeah.
And I love that, because as you said before, how can we judge someone who was born and raised in a certain situation where all he or she or they only know a certain specific aspect of life? Yeah. If someone was born every day of their life saying, you need to hate these French fries. I'm so sorry. That's the only. It's funny to me, right? Yeah. And then you go and say, I love French fries, and then you know what? These French fries should be exterminated for being French fries, right? Can you blame them? Right? Yeah. However, if you meet someone who says, why do you hate French fries? Yeah. And he or she or they has been living in a world where they're not subjugated to constant pressure since they were children. Let's just say he or she or they are a normal person. So when a normal person says, I really hate French fries, screw you. That's when what's your thought process of this? Yes. Because these French fries fucking suck. Right. Now you can be like, wait a minute. Yeah. You weren't born in a world where everybody hates French fries. Yeah. You hated French fries because you're fucking French racist. Right. Like, French fries racist. You get what I mean? Fricist. So no, I love it. Can you respect the integrity of your thought process? Right. I love that.
I won't agree with you. I may not agree with you at all, and we can't see like I don't understand you at all. Yeah. But there is a thought process that at the very least I can make sense of how and why you think that way. Then I can grant you some grace with that. So let's talk outside of metaphors here, and let's just like jump straight into like the actual like the meat of it. Yeah. Relating back to the classmate that I found out. By the way, like we're not close at all. Like you know, we were in the same class. Right. Like one class has like 20 kids. Like we're not tight, but it's like I'm acquainted with this person. You know, come to find out I hear through the grapevine that actually, did you know that he's part of the IDF? I don't know what he does in the IDF, by the way. Right. Like I don't know if he's like on the grounds or if he's like maybe working like the tech or whatever. Right. But I mean, and here's the thing. I've thought about it a lot too, of how. And by the way, for context, like, we're not, this guy and I, like, we're former classmates. We're not tight, but it's like he's always been like just a nice, normal guy. You know what I mean? And I think a lot too about the stance that I took of, like, at least at the very least, I need to be able to respect the integrity of your thought process, because we often neglect the part where so many people's thought processes are corrupted by propaganda and government propaganda and brainwashing, right? Which ties a lot with Israel. That's actually, I think, something that I talked about a little bit on the Israel-Palestine episode that I did with the Based Indonesian show, of, like, you think about, I wonder what the fuck the Israeli government is telling all these people, to the extent where they feel that they are valid in how their attitude towards this entire situation, right? So it's even that, like, I disagree with it entirely, right? I completely disagree with it. And it's not that I respect it, like, don't take me out of context, right? It's not that you respect it, but it's like you do you see what I'm trying to say? Like,
I completely understand. It's
not that you respect it, you don't even understand it, and you don't agree with it, but you can see literally just see how they got there,
right?
You know, see. And then it begs the question: then is it their fault? And you can extrapolate this not just in the context of brainwash Israelis,
into everything.
Into everything.
You can extrapolate this to everything.
Quite literally everything. So that's why, like, I think a lot about agreeing to disagreeing. I got into a very heated conflict with a friend of mine, because she, and likewise with a lot of people, this is a very common belief of a lot of people on the left back in LA, where, like, no, you can't agree to disagree.
Oh, you know? Okay.
Because agreeing to disagreeing means that you're still siding on the side of oppression, or, you know, some shit like that. I don't really know what the argument is, but I don't know. So in some context, and this is what's difficult, right? Everything so much depends on the context that we are talking about. Everything is so highly specified to the context that we are talking about. So I do think that maybe in some contexts that could be true. But in other contexts it's not, and it just depends on the context. So it's everything is just super nuanced, and it's hard because a lot of people don't want to be nuanced, because it's too much hard work.
It's hard to be nuanced. Is hard. And it applies to us, right? Sometimes we just want to take the easy way out as well. Why should we be nuanced? Why should we care about everyone's context? But I really like this quote with Aunt May from Spider-Man, or is it Uncle Ben? I forgot. One of them said, "With great power comes great responsibility."
Cliche, but true.
It's so true. Once you have great power to understand, once you have great power to critically think, once you have great power to infer information, then you should take the hard way out and have a bigger responsibility to know people's context, to know people's nuances.
Right.
I can't blame someone who is, quote unquote, does not have great power to know what they're doing if they're like, yeah, I don't know any better. I don't know any better. You can't blame them. But what I really absolutely hate is if you know better, but you still choose to do otherwise.
Yeah, there you go.
If you know better, like that means you're taking an active stance.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know better. I know X is better, but screw it, I'm gonna do Y.
Right, because then that's a matter of values
that's a matter of you being wrong. Get it, right?
Yeah, that's a value and morals thing.
Right.
Whereas, like, you know, the other side of it, it's that a lot of people are severely underestimating just how much of people's convictions, the reason why they have their convictions is a lot of misinformation and disinformation, right? And you and I, we're not. It's not like we're immune to that.
No, we're not exempt from that at all.
Yeah.
No, we're not.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like it's the fine line. Like everything is like the fine line of, like, you want to have room to be compassionate and understanding of other people and their views, but at the same time harsh enough to hold them accountable,
right?
And like not to and to not be promoting those views. And it's just it's hard.
It's hard.
I don't pretend to know all the answers. Like, I'm just as clueless as everybody else. It's hard. Yeah.
No, but yeah, you're right. But I absolutely love this conversation because we're tackling issues that these conversations are supposed to be had regardless.
Yeah.
Right? You're supposed to speak to your friends about it. I mean, not every day. I mean, you don't have to do this every day. But, but you're supposed to have this thought process with your friends where we're like asking these questions so that we know where we're at.
Right.
We know what we're feeling.
Right.
But yeah, like context.
and when it comes to like the topic of having respect for people for their different opinions, like because we talk a lot about how why can't you just respect my different opinions, right? And again, like I said, I'll respect your opinion. I may not agree with. I don't agree with it, right? And I don't understand it. But at the very least, like I will respect the integrity of your thought process. So, for example, like, and this is actually something that's happened to me before. Like, there are a lot of men that will make the argument that women should be the ones, like in the context of a cis heterosexual relationship. Like, let's say if you and me were a couple, right? And a lot of men, like they're very they'll die on the hill that no. Like, sure, women can have a career, but women should be the ones to give up their career to stay at home and rear the kids, blah, 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 blah. And then, my first step in order to gauge whether or not this person is somebody even worthy of me still continuing to pursue a relationship with, a friendship, for example, right? Ask them the why. Like, why do you think that, right? So there's certain men that will probably, like, they'll pull up, and everything is like, it depends, right? Like, not every man is the same, like in the way that they would go about having this debate / conversation. But it's, you ask them why, and then if they lay out like, well, like at the very least logical arguments, even if I disagree with it, right? Well, because like women are the ones that like give birth to the child, under the assumption that, because you could also have the like in the context of adopted child, like that would not matter. But for example, in the context of like if the woman was one to give birth to the child, then they make the argument, a logical argument of like, well, the woman was the one who rears the child, and like and then they pull up research. Well, because like I did research, and like research said this. Now the research might be wrong, but it's the integrity of the fact that this person did the research.
They tried to do their research.
They tried to do their research. Well, I mean, no, but they did. They went out of their way to see, hey, like I think this. Is this even true? And then they did the research. Is the research correct? I don't fucking know. But they did it. You know what I mean? And so it's like, well, yeah, because like they're making more logical arguments that I can at least follow along with, even if I disagree with it. Whereas like there are men that are just dead ass like, oh yeah, it's because like us men, like we're not meant to stay at home with the kids. Like no, like us men, like our value as men is like, all these like fucking alpha male bullshit. And it's like, I don't respect the integrity of that.
Right.
You see what I'm trying to say?
No, I see what you mean. And it's very contextual, specifically to this topic that you said. About women and career and all this stuff. Yeah. It's very contextual because for me, my mom was the breadwinner of my family. Yeah. My mom was a diplomat.
My mom's a single mom, so.
Every time I see this argument, I see it from a completely different context. What are you saying? Women can't do it.
Right.
My mom gave me all the money. My mom gave me all the food at the table. Yeah. So I never understand the argument, but I had the blessing to be in a context in which I understood where clearly when your mom's the breadwinner, look what happened to all her 3 sons. Right. Right. So again, maybe that's something that all these other alpha males didn't have the privilege of, because maybe they never understood. Right. Look at me. My dad was the blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's hard because this is where it's difficult when you want to hold space of compassion for people that you disagree with, because my instinct whenever I hear these fucking dog shit alpha males talk like that is I want to rip their fucking heads off and I want to yell at them, right? But it takes a lot of willpower for me to, Indah, just take a step back and like again host that space of compassion for me to be the better person and be like, well, a lot of these men, they probably like a lot of things. Most things in life actually they ring on an experiential level, and like these men just don't have experience with that the way that you and I do. They don't have the experience of seeing a woman who is like who's CEO or like who's the head of the household and like who runs shit. And they don't have that experience, and you have to give them the grace for the fact that they didn't choose to not have that experience, right? But it's hard because, and it's also a personality thing. I like to fight. It's also a personality thing. So it's just humans are so complex. This is why I'm a humanities girl.
Right. And you know what's not funny? You know what's interesting about this whole conversation about man and women and all this stuff? For me, it boils down to, choice. Right? Let the woman choose. If the woman wants to choose to be stay at home, to secure, ya udah. I don't know why everyone complicates this issue. Right. For me, if I'm a man and I choose to stay at home, ya udah.
Right.
And if your partner agrees with that choice, ya udah. Everyone brings us into a very zoomed out topic.
Right.
For me, let the women choose and let the man choose. If you're in a partnership, communicate these choices.
Right.
Try to find whatever good choices that can work together with you. And ya udah, karena every couple will have their different thing. Many couples will have where the man works for the woman, where the woman works for the man. Just let them choose.
Yeah.
For me, for me as a very rational, logical person, if I may say so, just let them choose. Please, like.
I like what you said there just now. Like, you would hope that you are a logical and rational person, and like this, a true testament to how complex we are just as humans is that we're never 100% of the time a certain something. Like, if like you're probably a logical. I've been thinking about this a lot because I've been having not like a quarter life crisis, like not really that, not an identity crisis. It's more so like just I've been doing a lot of introspection of like who I am and like what I am, and who you are in, I guess, in terms of characteristics. Like, are you? Well, I'm clearly a talkative person, and that one is pretty consistent. But even then, like, I'm not always a talkative person. You know what I mean?
No.
Right? But that's a very easy example. I'm talking about, like, are you somebody who is pragmatic? Are you somebody who is logical? Are you somebody who is rational? And especially, like, these things. And I feel like to some extent, like, you can agree to this, how it gets hard when you do a certain something a certain number of times, and like it's what people have seen from you a certain number of times,
and
then
what
they
people
start,
define you as that.
Then they start defining you as that. Like, oh, and I have this expectation of you. Right. There's this expectation of like you're always rational, you're always logical, you're always pragmatic, and like you're always right.
Right.
Like, you're always doing this, and then you don't give grace to consider how at the end of the day we're all humans and we're all flawed, and we come with like
you know it's so funny that you said this. Speaking about flaws, before I like 2 minutes ago I just said I'm a rational and logical person.
Yeah.
But in certain avenues, I am so not rational.
Yes.
For example, when it comes to my basketball team, zero rationality comes to my mind. I'm a Lakers fan through and through.
You're a what?
Lakers fan.
Lakers?
Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. Okay. So when it comes to that, take all the rationality and logic outside the window.
100%.
I become a no.
Right.
Go Lakers, go.
Yeah.
So it's funny because I know I call myself as rational and whatever, logical, but on certain subjects, I'm like so not. Right? And human beings have that ability to switch back and forth between that.
Right. Because
tadi, kadang-kadang pragmatic, kadang-kadang idealist, kadang-kadang whatever. And
because we're not two-dimensional. We're not two-dimensional creatures, and it's not even just that. You're pragmatic or logical or whatever on certain things and not others. But it's even just that even on the things that you are usually pragmatic and you're usually keyword usually right. You're usually pragmatic. You're usually logical. Everybody's susceptible to bad days, or just days where you deviate from your norm, and it's just like the nuances of
and not even the deviate from the norms. What you thought and what you thought you were, not even 5 years ago, 6 months ago, could be so different than what you thought now.
Right.
Because of whatever, because of life experience, because of whatever, right? You never know.
Right. And you can extrapolate this to the context of how social media is also a very unforgiving place. Or I don't know if it's social media or even people in real life, but I feel like social media definitely exacerbates this apathetic and callous parts of ourselves, where it's really not it's not the nicest place for you to even be able to have a change of heart or a change of mind. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Like, you and I, respectively, like we have opinions that maybe 2 weeks ago we held it that today we probably don't.
Maybe. Yeah, right? You're right. You're right.
Because as most of us, like we eventually in our own time, like in our own pace, and like, what depending too on like, who, like, what information that we're exposed to and how that information is delivered to us, like we come to have a change of heart, we have come to have a change of perspective, a change of understanding as well. And it's hard these days on social media, especially when social media doesn't give you that space to make mistakes.
It's like you need to be 100% right all the time. They don't give that. Exactly. It's like, wait, you said this 3 weeks ago. Kenapa berubah tiba-tiba? Well, things change, context change, information comes and goes. I was maybe not knowing something else. And you're right. Social media can be so unforgiving. And we don't give people second chances enough. In some cases. Some cases you shouldn't. But it's funny that you said that, because we give politicians more space to change who they were affiliated to than ourselves. let me give you context. 5 years ago, there's no way PSI would have went with Prabowo. No way.
Oh, but
Sekarang
now
PSI partainya Prabowo.
their coalition.
Right.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But we say, bagus, boleh. Tapi kita social media, wait, you said this 3 years ago.
Yeah.
We give politicians a lower standard than ourselves, which is fine gitu kan.
Yeah.
Itu contoh satu ya, guys. Gue gak peduli, gue gak voting 1, 2, 3 before you guys go crazy. Andovi gak setuju, whatever. Wait, I want to ask you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very curious.
Yeah.
So what did you take in uni?
I took actually when I first came in, it was for performing arts. I was a musical theater. But then my mama made me change the business because I'm Asian.
Top musical of all time.
Top musical.
You would maybe not top. It's something that's very rewatchable for you, so you won't be bored watching this over and over again. Musical specifically.
Oh damn! I would say it's either. Gosh, it's strictly for the scores. It's either gotta be Wicked or Phantom of the Opera. To be honest, I know that's generic.
I watched Phantom of the Opera in London, in West End. When that fucking chandelier, that light fell from the stage, I was like,
oh yeah,
gila.
Man.
So your favorite artist of all time?
Artist.
Yeah.
My favorite. Ooh, artist.
I'm putting you on the spot. I'm putting you on the spot.
Oh, and no, actually, I would say Taylor Swift.
Okay.
Artist, right?
Artist.
So musical artist.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. No, and here's the thing. And it's very interesting because like while you were talking like sometime like earlier just now, I was thinking this at the back of my mind because we were using Taylor Swift as an example and how I have been in cases where I say that I love Taylor Swift, right? Like I would consider myself a Swiftie. Yeah. I would consider myself a Swiftie on the basis that I memorize. I wouldn't be so confident in saying I memorized all Taylor Swift songs, but I memorized a good chunk of it. I memorized most of it, right? And like I'm really like I love her as an artist. Like her work is phenomenal. Say what you want about the woman, right? Because I don't care about her like as a person. Like I know that sounds really I don't care about her as a person. I don't care what goes on in her fucking personal life. I don't care who she dates. Yeah. I don't even really, to be honest, care about like there's the whole she private jets, greenhouse gases. She's bad for the environment.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's that, and also like she's a billionaire now, and like how a lot of people
because of her tour, right?
Because of her tour, because of her tour, and like now she's a billionaire, and I'm over here kind of like, oh yeah, go get your bag, girl. But a lot of people are like, no, but why are you supporting a billionaire? You know what I mean? So it's like I can't even enjoy my artist for the art without it being extrapolated into some like political context.
That's always the philosophy. Can you support the artist just solely for the art, or the artist solely because of who he or she is outside of the art?
Ooh, and I've landed myself in like really hot waters about that just because I love Breezy.
Oh, Chris Brown. Yeah.
But here's what I mean when I say I love Breezy. I love his music. I love his work.
Indah Ji, you're preaching to the choir. Gua adalah tipe orang yang benar-benar, for me, I'm very extreme to this. I'm number one separator of art to artist.
Number one separator. You're like just absolutionist on that one. Just the art, and the
which
artist.
Is some people will give me flack for it, which is fine because there are some extreme cases. There is the Bill Cosbys of the world. There's the R. Kellys of the world.
Harvey Weinstein,
of course. Yeah. But I don't consider someone producing a movie like Harvey Weinstein. For me, art, if you boil it down, is musician, painter, whatever. It's that.
Right.
But I'm sort of I can't say I'm an absolutist, but I'm a sort of an absolutist.
On this one.
Because I'm a Kanye fan. And I get a lot of flack for being a Kanye fan.
Oh God, okay.
I know, because you're a Swiftie and we've had history. I knew you were trouble in the Grammys. I forgot. Anyway, because I know what I want, but Beyonce, no. I'm a Kanye fan for his music. Titik. I don't care outside of that. Yeah. Say what you want. Graduation, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. For me, still. Nah. Makanya, I'm a very art separates the artist. I know there are extreme cases, and even in these extreme cases, go lumayan kagoya. Even in the extreme cases, I'm like, wow, this is really testing my resolution of absolutist there. Yeah. So again, even when I'm saying I'm an absolutist, what's the context? Back again, what's the context?
Yeah.
So I get it. Chris Brown, listen, run it, give me that.
Forever.
Oh my God.
Right.
Forever.
Right.
When they played that song at the office.
Right.
You know, the office in the wedding, the office wedding.
Oh my God, no, I did not see that up.
So the office, I love the office. In the wedding, they played that song.
Oh.
And it's really, anyway, but like, I get it. But then Chris Brown is very closely related to the Rihanna stuff, the whatever stuff.
And he's also just Omega racist and colorist. So there's also that,
I
right?
did not know that, but yeah.
Yeah, no, that's.
But I'm on your team here. I completely understand.
Okay, so separate
Separating
the art.
the artist.
Separate the art from the artist.
Yeah.
So what do you think about? But how about separating the artists from their political opinions?
Oh, that's a good one.
You know, that's very relevant.
That's
too.
really relevant for this one.
In the context of, especially right now, what's going on.
Yeah.
Israel, Palestine.
Yeah.
A lot
Everything.
of celebrities that are getting canceled for both, by the way.
For both.
Pro-Palestine.
Yeah.
Or pro-Israel. Or actually, third one, not saying anything at all.
Right. People get a lot of shit for supporting A, supporting B, not saying anything at all.
Not even supporting A or B.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna go with the Israel-Palestine one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the Indonesian elections.
Okay.
Right. So it's clear on the spot.
There you go.
Indonesian elections. If an artist or whatever content creator, influencer, whatever you want to call it, supports A, 1, 2, or 3. For me, I have a very sort of clear boundary.
Okay.
If you are getting paid to vote, to be the buzzer or the team says or whatever for 1, 2, atau 3, and your personal values align with who you're getting paid by, go for it.
Okay. It's fine if they're getting paid, but it's the value that aligns.
Kalau lu, contoh, if I know many of my friends who are with Prabowo, I know many of my friends with Anies, I know many of my friends with Ganja. I know all three, to be honest. And I'm not just saying that to be like diplomatic. All three, I have all my friends there. Asal lu ngomong ke gua, ya gua dibayar sama X, tapi jujur gua setuju sama X. Go for it. Where I have a problem is, you're getting paid for X, Y, or Z, but you know you're not for that time. You're in that team. That's where I'm like, bro, just have some, sorry to say, have some balls. Or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? Just
have some dignity.
there you go.
Yeah, have some dignity.
Have some dignity.
Like, have some character.
Right.
And it's so because it's very, that's so sad.
Right.
And in reality, those types of people exist, right?
Yeah, they
and
exist.
on the one hand, see, this is where I'm telling you, like, it's so hard for me and it's landed me in so many hot waters just because, again, like, and I think it is a little bit to do with the way that we grew up and, like, the environment that we grew up in of being surrounded by so many different people. And, like, I see all sides.
Right.
And then it becomes hard to, like, pick a stance, like, for them or against them. But even in the cases of people that are being bought for money, like, and then, you could make the argument that, well, what if these people are, socioeconomically not that well off and, like, they don't have the privilege of turning down money.
There's an argument as well. There's a long argument there as well.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
It's difficult.
Right.
Now, for those who don't speak up
Yeah.
or who don't have an opinion, oh God, I'm going to get killed for this.
It's okay.
Gini. Let's talk about golput.
Golput, yeah.
Okay.
Golongan putih, for
Gini.
those of you that don't know.
For me, the beauty of democracy is, again, what I told you, the freedom to choose or not to choose, itu nomor satu bagi gua. Kalau lu golput, fine. Tapi golput ada 2 kelas. Even in golput, there's 2 tiers.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I didn't know that.
Let me explain. This is not a scientific thing. It's my thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's not an actual thing. Okay.
Kalau you nggak voting, if you don't vote because you forgot to wake up, I hate you. Paham kan?
Yeah.
14 Februari, I partied so hard yesterday, fuck it. Tapi kalau lu golput, karena lu datang, gue gak suka tiga-tiganya. Tuh, gak. I respect you. See? It's different. At the end of the day, it's still golput. At the end of the day, it's still golput.
Right. It's not the stance. Again, it's not the stance that you take. It's the perspective that you take to get to that stance, or like, what you do to get to that stance. Yeah, no, I absolutely agree.
And that for me, mga gini, tapi Andovi, no. For me, the freedom to choose, part of the freedom is to not to choose.
Yeah.
However, there's a difference between malas bangun 14 Februari sama, dude, I just partied yesterday at fucking Fable. I don't want to do this. There's a difference.
Yeah.
I'd rather you wake up late, go, mom, dad, friend, I have no idea, 1, 2, 3 are all sampai in my eyes. Dah.
And
I respect you for that.
Right, and again, that's what I was saying, right? At the very least, if you don't respect their end decision, you can respect the integrity of their thought process or the integrity of like what actions they took in order to get there. Yeah, so.
And outside of philosophy, just by the way, Indaji, fun fact.
Yeah.
Ini goals. It's not a conspiracy. It's not. It's actually a fact. When you don't wake up on February 14th or pemilu apapun, that vote can and will be used against somebody else.
Yeah. No, I'm being. I don't think I'm being very. So far, I don't think I'm being vocal enough. I need to be more vocal in urging my followers, especially because like I don't know what your demographic of followers are like, but I pull in all the Gen Z, like the very young and majority female. That's the bulk of my audience members, and I haven't been vocal enough in encouraging people to not go golput.
Yes.
Even though, oh my God, and especially like the candidate. I'm so sorry, the candidates that we have so far, it's very tempting to go golput.
Yeah, it is tempting.
It's so tempting.
It is tempting.
And you know why it's tempting? It's because it's the easy way out.
Yeah.
Because it's the easy thing. Because it's the easy thing to do. But a lot of the times, like the easy thing to do is not the thing that you should be doing. You know?
Because I'm gonna break it down.
Yeah.
Let's just say Indaji has 1 vote. Andovi has 1 vote. Ini data udah ada di daftar pemilih tetap KPU. Right. When you go to the TPS, right? When you go to tempat penyoblosan, okay? When you go, itu ke data. Indaji udah datang. Vote-nya apa? Whether Indaji vote-nya kan lu berjurdil. It means the government has no right to know who you vote for. No right to know. Indaji, it's your right as a human being, a citizen of Indonesia.
Yeah.
But at least your RT RW, your kecamatan, your kelurahan has on record Indaji datang ke tempat coblos. Pas datang, mau Indaji golput vote 3-3 nggak voting doesn't matter. But if you don't go, a lot of external players, which I won't sebutkan, I don't want to get in legal trouble. Di daftar pemilihan tetap Indaji nggak datang. Terserah kita dong votingnya mau kemana.
Oh yeah.
So I plead you, if even you don't want to vote anybody, at least go to the TPS if you can.
Right. And
that's simple.
And obviously, this episode don't got nothing to do with bijak memilih. And
Yeah,
people know that.
Yeah, I love bijak memilih. I love What Is Up Indonesia. I love.
And we love Abigail.
Yeah.
Right? Afu. No, but I'm closer with Abigail. Right? Like, and obviously this episode don't got nothing to do with them. Like, they don't even know that I'm like talking about bijak memilih in this episode. But really, like, this is where I really give props to bijak memilih, what Afu and Abigail are doing.
Agree.
Just because, especially, my goodness, and this is where we're like transitioning the topic here. There are a lot of people at home listening into this episode right now, Andovi, that and I feel like, I wouldn't put you in this category anymore, but I think once upon a time you were in the same category where we're Indonesian kids that are not really Indonesian kids that don't really speak Indonesian either, but we want so very much to be a part of the Indonesian discourse. We want so much to be a part of life in Indonesia. Like, we want to be a part of all of the social political discourse. We want to be a part of the culture. We want to be a part of the culture, right? And it's hard for kids like you once upon a time and me now that we don't, again, no cultural context, no, like language skills are fucking dog shit. But yeah, there are platforms like Bijak Memilih. And Bijak Memilih, for those of you that don't know, that's where you basically, like, you go on there.
Bagus. Check it
there's
out.
an English option. Yeah. So you can go on there. You can learn all about the political candidates, the parties and everything. And it's a
great
Indonesian Indonesian presidential elections 101 for dummies in English.
Yeah.
It's dead ass, like, that's what it is. So I encourage all of you to go there. But
and please check it out. Like, this is not sponsored by
no.
None of that stuff.
Right. And Abigail, like, she and I are tight, but like, I've been telling her, like, from the very get-go, like, I've been a heavy supporter of What's Up Indonesia since the very beginning. Like, I'm so thankful for people like her that.
By the way, fun fact, sorry to cut you off. What Is Up Indonesia was the first people to ever interview me and my brother for DPR Musical. So when we did DPR Musical, they reached out to us and said, hey, we love your musical. So shout out. I hope What Is Up Indonesia can work together with. I've already talked to Abigail.
Yeah.
What Is Up Indonesia and Bijak Memilih will be one of the official media partners for polarisasi.
Yeah.
So again, like, and I hope there's a Venn diagram where people who want to go to Bijak Memilih and those people who are like me and who I was before, at least you guys love musicals, right?
Yeah.
Please.
Right. Because you basically give like, you're doing what is up Indonesia and like a little bit of what Bijak Memilih are doing, but in a more artistic, more easily digestible way. Yeah, so I agree. But no, like what I remember when What Is Up Indonesia, Abigail, like she also used to go to California. Why are we talking shit about Abigail on this show? We're not talking shit.
Abby, we're talking shit about you.
We're gossiping about you after this, but no. And I remember when she first came out with What Is Up Indonesia, and that was like deadass the first time I've ever seen something out there that kind of gave the stepping stones, like for kids like me, to be like, there's like, it was like the stepping stone towards us being able to actually be a part of Indonesia and actually like to feel in some ways.
You're not wrong. You're absolutely not wrong.
Yeah.
Because I used to shoot with What Is Up Indonesia. I made a whole episode about kids like us. And you're right. It gave them a sense of belonging.
It just...
Right?
It gave a sense of belonging. In a way, it validated the fact that we exist. Yeah. Like, there are kids
and
like...
there's a lot of us. There's a lot of followers of What Is Up Indonesia. There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
And followers don't mean everything. The data is not only the followers, but it's sort of... The data sorts of conspires to what you just said, right? It means there are people like us, and many of us.
It's an entire market of kids.
An entire market of kids who I wish to watch polarisasi musika.
Anjing.
Sorry, I got my marketing cap on. No, but for real.
But I mean, and it's just... I don't know, like when this is tying back, we're going back again to square one of like, I guess like you moving back here for the first time, like permanently for the first time. I mean, what was that like adapting to moving back?
I at first, I was very bitter because I used to live in countries that were
much more developed.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was bitter. I mean, I used to go to school every day with trains and buses in Denmark and Norway because it is Scandinavia. You guys know Scandinavia is always ranked high in the Human Development Index countries.
Yeah.
I was always bitter because, okay, maybe these are one of the things I want to say. And in the G, I hope, please don't, sedikit panjang tapi please hear me out. Even though, sebentar, I don't...
Take your time.
Diplomatic, so I need to learn how to be diplomatic.
Balikannya gue.
Yes, I agree. Ya benar. Karena my mom's a diplomat, jadi gue udah setting, my factory setting itu udah diplomatic. Yes, my mom's a diplomat. But me and my mom and my dad are legit middle class Indonesians. We're not even middle to up. We are middle to up in the sense because of my mom's job, we had to go abroad. So, in my international schools everywhere, Denmark, Norway, India, I was never the rich kid. I was always the kid because of my mom's job. Had the opportunity to be friends with the owners of rich people all over the world. I was friends with the Mittal family in India. Mittal is the steel and technology company in India.
Rich. I
was friends with the Maersk family. If you guys don't know what Maersk is, go to Sunda Kelapa, go to Tanjung Priok. Every single container has the word Maersk. Maersk. It's the largest cargo shipping company in Denmark and in the world. I was fortunate enough because of my mom's job to be encroached by them.
Yeah.
Now, because of that, I'm very middle class. I only have one whole... my mom, my family has only one house in Depok. One house, one car. But my mom put all of her money, my mom and my dad, put all of her savings to school us in the best education as possible.
Yeah.
So we never had extra disposable income because my mom and dad always gave us the best education that they can. We did the IB, we did the whole thing. But I was always, in India and in Denmark, I was always, tanda kutip, the poorest. I'm not trying to get pity points here. I'm not.
No,
I'm just trying to get the...
Speak your truth.
Just because I go to an international school does not mean I'm rich.
Yeah.
That's very important to know.
Right.
We've had struggles, but my mom and dad always says, educating you three sons, because my biggest brother's a doctor. Kajo did nuclear physics, even though he's in entertainment. I did law. We sort of made it. And now because of my entertainment business, I sort of made it in whatever sense of metrics you want to put me in.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. So the reason why I said this is, why am I saying all this? To answer your question, I was bitter. When I came back to UI, all my friends went to Yale, Stanford, LSE, London School of Economics, Harvard, Cambridge.
Yeah.
And I was like, why am I... And UI is the best university in Indonesia. But in perspective, I was like, Mom, I could have gone to all... But my mom couldn't afford to go to those places. So my mom couldn't afford to send me to where all of my friends went there. I'm one of the few who went back to my country to study abroad, to study higher education in my own country. Everybody else went abroad. Singapore, Nanyang Tech, Hong Kong, Japan, Malaysia. I was the only one. So I was bitter. But at the end of the day, I realized it's how you deal with the cards that you're dealt. And I stopped feeling sorry for myself. And this is coming from a place of privilege. I understand. Like, I used to go around the world. But I had to stop feeling sorry for myself.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck it.
Yeah.
This is my situation. So what? My friends are more in it. I need to understand that I'm very privileged, and I need to do something with my privilege. Everybody has their own privilege in their own level. Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody. Some are higher than others. Some are lower than others. Some in a different way. For me, stop feeling sorry for yourselves. Do what you can with your situation, no matter how hard it is. Because I know some people are going to say, Andovi, shut up. You don't understand. Nyokap bokap gue gak ada duit juga. Gue gak bisa keluar negeri kayak lu. Gue gak bisa bahasa Inggris kayak lu. I get it. And I get it. I never ever say that your experience is wrong. But if there's one thing that I learned in my life is you need to take control of what you can control.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
No matter how low it is, no matter how high it is. Albeit, if you're higher on the spectrum, you should have a higher responsibility. Yeah. So if you're higher in the privileged spectrum or whatever it is, I don't know what you call it, right? So it's a very long way to answer your question.
Yeah.
No, I was very bitter, but at the end of the day, I'm very thankful.
Yeah.
This made me who I am.
No, I resonate a lot with what you said about like how if you're somebody on like the higher end of that socio-economic privilege spectrum, like you have a much higher responsibility. I very much resonate with that. That's actually, I feel like I've talked about this before, but it was like on a very early episode that barely got any views. So I guess this is my time to put it out there again for more people to listen. Yeah. Where that's actually the reason why I started this show. Because I mean, yeah, I think like one way to describe this show is like some chindo bitch gets up in front of the camera and she talks about all these things that people are too afraid to talk about.
But it's not only that. It's not that. It's
not just that, but like that's just the crass, like overly bastardized way of like describing it, right? And I think a lot about how I take for granted the fact that I'm able to even be doing any of this without suffering any detrimental ramifications socioeconomically. As in to say, I get to talk about everything, my sex life, politics. I talk shit about some friends on the internet. I pick fights with people on TikTok. Everything. Like I get to do all these things without it coming at the cost of my job. I'm not scared of getting fired from my job. Like this is my job, and even then, like. I have other sources of income as well, you know what I mean? And even from a not just financial aspect, but family aspect, like I realize a lot of people, like while money may not be an issue, but the reason why they're very apprehensive about maybe speaking their truth to the public, the reason why they're scared of speaking their truth is because it's gonna come at the cost of their family relationships, right? And disturbing the peace between family relationships. And I'm very lucky in the sense, a lot of people I know that they kind of pity me a little bit, which is, I don't like being pitied, but I mean, it is what it is. A lot of people pity me because my family is just me and my mom. So she's a single mom. I'm an only child. And no cousins, no aunts, nothing, right? So it's just the both of us. And everything I've come to learn is all about perspective, right? Which also ties into the conversation of, me coming back here to Indonesia and like how I dealt with it. Everything really boils down to perspective. You could look at the situation here's Indah, and like, she doesn't really have a family. It's just her mom. By the time her mom dies, and she's gonna be all alone. That's a very depressing way of looking at it, right? But because my family unit is so small, it's actually the reason why I get to be able to do this. I only, like, if there's collateral damage, like, it's only I got to deal with my mom and only my mom. The thing is, because we're so dependent on each other, because like we're the only ones that we each other got. Like, we only got each other, right? She'll put up with anything. I can get away with it, like. Yeah, and again, I'm an only child. That money's got to go somewhere. You know what I mean? And even just like, I got like privileges on privileges that allows me to be able to do this. And like, that is the reason why I do what I do on the internet, even though I know maybe a lot of people, they disagree again with my opinions, right? They disagree with my opinions, they disagree with my values. And sometimes, look, we talk about the integrity of like your thought process. My thought process isn't always doesn't always have the most integrity all the time. And I understand that. I'm also human. I come with my flaws, right? But at the end of the day, like, the vision and mission for me is to be able to give voice for the people that are not as privileged as me, in order to be able to do the same thing. People take for granted, and I, for a very long time, like, I underestimated the value in what I do, of like giving voice to people and bringing up issues that people are too scared of, to bring up. Even I used to be kind of like, pan cuma kayak gitu doang. But actually, no, it means a lot for a lot of people. And like, it actually is like, it's a stepping stone towards having all of these bigger conversations on a societal level. Because if one person can do it, then eventually, like, it's gonna have a ripple effect, and then everybody can talk about it. It all does start with one person. So that is what I do. And this isn't, on the topic of me coming back to Indonesia, I did not plan to do any of this, Like, like you wanted to not come back here. Because the thing too is that we were so used to living a much more developed way of life, right? We had all these access to amenities and resources that Indonesia just is not at a place where we kind of have all of that just yet, especially because you came back in 2012. So the Stone Age.
I get your point.
But I did not want to come back. And when I did come back, it felt like my life was over, and it felt like it was like a seal to the coffin that was my career, because I thought, especially because I was in the States, and it's like, I'm never gonna have the same opportunities like that. America's called the land of opportunities, and all of that, the whole land of the free, home of the brave type shit. And it felt like my life was over, because I thought I'm never gonna get the same opportunities that I have here in the United States back in Indonesia. And boy, was I fucking wrong, right? Because actually, like, I've come to learn, and maybe this could serve as words of consolation for I don't know, any listeners that maybe need to hear this. But when it comes to opportunity exists everywhere, and if it doesn't exist, then you can always make it.
Ooh.
And I think that's what I did coming back here. And coming back here, it wasn't just the struggle of like language and like no cultural context, which is a different can of worms. I want to talk to you about how the fuck you made friends.
Oh yeah, that's a whole.
I wanted to talk to you about how you make friends, because that's like the struggle that I have right now, to be honest. But like, I mean, it's not just that, but people like you and me, we grew up very. You and I, we actually we have a lot in common, because we grew up very like culturally very westernized, individualistic oriented.
Yes.
Extremely, especially you, I think, because
Scandinavia.
And politically, in every sense of the word, very liberal.
Yes.
And coming back here to Indonesia, where it's like the complete opposite of any of that, it can be daunting, because you have to sit down and you have to think about, is there even a place for me to thrive here, being the way that I am? Like, was that a thing that you...
That really came up. That thought process that you described perfectly encapsulates what I thought the first time I came back. But once Skinny Indonesian 24 sort of blew up, that fear went out of my mind. And I know that's very... Yeah, of course, you had Skinny Indonesian 24. You had your brother, you had everything. But like, this is gonna sound so fucking preachy and cheesy.
Go for it.
But I mean it in the most sincere place of my heart. no matter how much shit I talk about Indonesia, I love this place to death.
On the fucking real. On the fucking real, because
I love this place to death. Like,
no,
honestly.
bro. Can I ask?
Yeah.
Do you plan on settling down here?
Yo, I do.
Look me in the eye.
I do.
You do.
I plan on settling down here.
Oh my god, no, see, like, dude, and I feel like a lot of people feel this way where it's like, we fucking hate living here in this country because it's so frustrating.
It's so frustrating. But
especially like when kids like you and me, like, we've tasted what it's like out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we've tasted the rainbow out there.
Yeah.
And then coming back here and it's like, it's so repressed. It's so repressing. That's what it felt like coming back here too. It's like just socially, economically, in every sense of the word, repressing. Right? And goddamn, I fucking hate living here. But at the same time, it's like, I have to be honest with myself. Like, I wouldn't be doing any of the things that I'm doing right now if I didn't care about this place.
Yeah. Honestly, like, it's so crazy because people always, people back in the day commented, if you hate Indonesia so much, get the fuck out of here. Maybe it's the Indonesian blood in me going back. Maybe it's because I don't know what the fuck it is. No matter how much shit this country has, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I've lived in there. I'm gun to my heart. Gun to my head. Gun to my head. Sword to my heart. Whatever the expression is. I love this country to death. And justru menurut gua, you love things that loving is not supposed to be things that are perfect. Right? I mean, love in general, if you love something that gives you whatever you want, it's not love, it's reaffirming your affection, and it's just one way. Real love can also come from the struggle in a very literal sense, right? Like, and maybe I'm speaking this because I have a fiance, my family's here. Look, I get it. Contextual wise, everyone's different. Fuck, I get it. But still, even with all of that, like the simple things, like I'm not gonna go all philosophical. I wouldn't trade Indonesian food for the world.
Oh my god.
I wouldn't. Like, I've been all over the world. I've tasted every single food in the world. Indonesian food, numero uno, nomor satu. I'll say it proud on my chest. Anyone who goes against me, fuck you, let's go.
Yeah, no, you know what? Yeah, I can't. Right? I can't debate that.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we have sometimes where we want to eat Italian, Indian, Chinese, of course. But Asian food is the bomb. Like something as simple as that can. It was one thing that unites us is our food.
Oh,
if there's one thing we can hate each other, like, lu makan apa? Soto. Fuck, let's go. Let's go together. Right? For me, I don't know about you, I love the weather. Not the pollution. Not the pollution.
Yeah.
But for me, the Indonesian weather is perfect for me. For me.
Yeah.
I'm not a cold person. I love the fact that I can go out with a shirt every day.
Right.
For me. So there are things beneath all the bullshit that are like, we can go to the mountain for a 3-hour drive, and we can go to the most pristine beaches for a 1-hour drive.
Yeah.
That is a privilege.
Yeah.
People in fucking Western Europe and Scandinavia die to see pristine beaches. I mean, think about it. We can go to the middle of a jungle and see species that are, albeit pretty much endangered. That's a whole nother topic. But that is a privilege that Indonesians have.
Yeah.
We can go to the beauties in Labuan Bajo, Raja Ampat. We can see orangutans in Kalimantan. It is we just need to fix the corruption and its people. That's honest to fucking God.
Right.
If you can fix the corruption and its people, Indonesia is a fucking haven.
Right. Well, you can say that about every country, not just Indonesia.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Right. And it's like, oh man, where do I even begin? I have so many thoughts on that. First of all, you talk about love, right? And what it means to love, but let's be specific. Like what does love for a country mean? And I feel like a lot of people have this misconception that if you love a country, that you can't say anything bad about it. Yeah. When it's usually the complete opposite. It's the people that are the ones most vocal about, like, in criticizing a country and not wanting to just, put up with the status quo and put up with the way that things are just for the sake of it, right? The people that are willing to put themselves out there to criticize the country.
Yeah.
Because where does that place of criticism come from? Is because we want ourselves to do better.
Yeah.
It's the same way with kids. Like, I would argue, I'm not a parent, but it's like, I'm assuming that's the exact same thing with kids. It's like the reason why you're like, parents are the first to criticize your, like brutally, like sometimes even like too fucking brutally criticize your child. And like, they give it to you straight. It's because they love you. They want to see you do better. That's the exact same thing that people like you and me, like that we do. Because I'm so sick and tired of people. I get what you used to get of like how, if you fucking hate it here in Indonesia and you're always complaining about things in Indonesia, then why don't you just fucking leave? No, it's because I love this place so much that I want to see things change. And not even just for things to change for my sake, but I want things to change for the people's sake, right? I think a lot about how unfair it is that kids like you and me, we really are the minority.
Yeah, we are.
We are the minority to be this privileged.
Yeah.
Especially in the context of, my goodness, our education. That's fucking insane.
It's insane. I will forever be in debt and thankful to my mom and dad for giving my education.
No, likewise. Like, I have a lot of contentions with my mother, and she's not always the best person. But my goodness, like, that woman gave me the entire world just through like the education that I was able to have. And education really is everything.
It is.
You know what I mean? And
it is.
And I think, I had a question here about hold on.
By the way, education, that doesn't mean getting good grades, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of people.
A lot of people must put that in the same. No, education does not have to mean you have to get the best grades ever.
Yeah, because you'd be surprised how a lot of people out there with degrees are still fucking idiots. Yeah, like you'd be really fucking surprised. Like, no, just because you have a degree doesn't mean you're fucking educated. But
yes.
I had a question here about how, because.
Because I go to UI, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people think just because you go to UI you're the smartest. No. I know many dumb UI people. Like, come on, like this is the real thing. That's why when you said it hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Banget.
But I had a question here about how, like, we're not in politics, but we are two-third culture.
Yeah.
We're two-third culture Indonesian kids that, in our own ways, we are contributing. I hope we're contributing.
I hope so.
Yeah, I actually hope so. But we want to contribute to the domestic political landscape, right? Political, by the way, political doesn't always mean like economics and government. Like, social politics is very much part of politics, and that's usually like what we're both mostly social politics, right? But we're two-third culture Indonesian kids that, in our own ways, like, we want to contribute to the domestic political landscape, and we do represent some of the loudest voices in social political discourse, right? But I sometimes struggle. I sometimes struggle with this mean voice in my head that likes to tell me it's not in my place to do so because I didn't even really grow up Indonesian. You know what I mean? It's like ibaratnya orang bule datang ke Indonesia terus kayak tiba-tiba mau perbaikin ini, perbaikin itu kayak gitu. And it's like I struggle a lot too with how, because kids like you and me, we grow up very, again, westernized, like individualized, very liberal. So we have like our set ways of like how, and we're very idealistic, right? So idealistic people, it's like we have our ideals of how people should be and how the world should be, right? And it's all based off of, Western values, right? And then so we come over here to an Eastern culture, to an Eastern part of the world. And sometimes I do struggle with like.
But Indah, you know what's beautiful? You know what's Indah about that? You know what's Indah about that? The fact that you have the self-conscious to recognize that voice means you're doing the right thing.
Okay, thank fuck.
The fact that you have the self-consciousness to know and to identify that, tunggu, emang kenapa sih? Kan lu orang bule and lu and all this shit. A lot of people don't recognize that. But the fact that you recognize that means you're in the right direction.
Right.
Because a lot of people who can't hear that inner voice, it means they're already corrupted by the power inside of them.
That and like probably narcissistic as fuck.
But whatever. But it's Indah in a way that you have that voice. And for me, nggak apa-apa, you feel that way. Look, you can do the most perfect and righteous thing in the world. Some motherfucker will disagree with you. Right? So even if lu buka panti asuhan depan rumah lu dengan duit lu sendiri, lu nggak ria, you don't commercialize it, you don't say hi guys, whatever, some motherfucker will be like,
that is true.
So with that perspective in mind, screw it. Screw the people who tells you, lu nggak di sini anjing, lu nggak pernah di sini, stop caring about Indonesian politics, fuck it. You know you're doing something for the right thing. A lot of people are gonna dislike you, whatever. And that's the mindset I've gone to. A lot of people dislike me, Indah, for being this, for being, apaan sih lu jangan so bullshit begini lah. I'm like, you know, screw you. Honestly, I've gotten that fuck you mentality di mana I know what I'm doing is not intentionally hurting people. Beda kalau intentionally I'm trying to hurt people ya. Beda kalau gue kayak gue bikin ini karena gue mau rusak orang. I know in the deepest down of my heart I'm not doing this to hurt people. So for those haters out there, fuck it. So I hope not only us, for all the OGs out there, adopt that mentality. And life will be so much better. Right. Honestly, life will be so much better.
And it's interesting because, like, yeah, no, for sure. Like, I don't doubt the fact that, like, the things that you do to contribute, like, are not done with malicious intentions. Like, most people, like, they don't do that. But it's a matter of, and you're a law student, so you should know this, right? It's not about, sure, your intentions were your intentions, but, like, what was the outcome, of your actions? And so the thing with me that I sometimes struggle with, and I think a lot of my other friends too, and I think third culture kids in general, like when we come back to like our home countries, even though like what even is a home country at this point, but like you know what I mean, like you know, there's the saying, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Yeah, like, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Okay, what do you think about that? Like, how do you feel about this? Because especially in the context of us being you do realize like we're not doing what the Romans do. Like we're a bunch of like fucking.
We're the Spartans. That's that. Yeah.
Like we're fucking third culture kids with Western values coming here to Indonesia, and we're trying to basically bring Western values into Indonesia, which is not a Western country, not a Western culture. I struggle a lot with that. That's why I had that thought of like, you know, at what point am I overstepping my boundary, my boundaries here?
All right. Can I say a fun fact about the Romans?
Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, that's an amazing saying. When in Romans, do what the Romans do. Fun fact, almost half of I don't know the exact number, so don't fucking kill me for this. Some of the Roman emperors aren't even Roman. Fun fact, go to your history, do your research. The Roman emperors themselves come from Egypt, Macedonia, this Turkey, Byzantine back in the day, whatever. So, what is a Roman? So think about that.
Right.
That saying, when the Romans do what the Romans do, how can you say that when some of the emperors were not even native Romans?
Right.
But my point is, what defines Romans? What defines what Romans are doing? So for me, I disagree wholeheartedly with that statement.
Yeah.
Because if you're gonna say, when in Indonesia, do what Indonesians do.
Right. You do realize what a lot of Indonesians do are not even natively Indonesian.
Our founding fathers, banyak orang nggak tahu, our founding fathers even had to go abroad to learn how to manage this country.
Yeah.
Does that make them less Indonesian?
Yeah.
Fun fact, Sumpah Pemuda, yang dimana salah satu sumpahnya adalah kita harus ngomong cinta Indonesia dan berbahasa Indonesia. The conference was held in Dutch. Fun history fact.
Also, fun fact, all of the 6 recognized religions in this country are all imported religions as well.
Exactly my point.
So
what is Indonesian?
Yeah.
What is it? Just because you were born in Java, Kalimantan, Sumatra, NTT, Papua, Sumatra. That's the whole debate. Kita udah mengkotak-kotakan apa artinya menjadi seorang Indonesia, di mana we forget everyone can be. It's such a cop-out answer, but it's not. I know it feels like a cop-out answer, but it's actually not. Are you saying the Chinese Indonesians that gave their fucking life and labor to Indonesia back in the 1960s up until now, they're not Indonesian? That they're not what Indonesians do? Are you saying I'm from NTT, I'm from Flores. Are you saying that Flores, because I'm Catholic, I'm minority, Flores is the only province with majority Catholic, just because that we're not Indonesian? The beauty in Indonesia is our difference. I know that sounds such like a slogan.
Right.
Fuck it, I know, but it's not.
Right.
It's actually not. Like, so what Romans do? I always ask people with that quote. Research your history. Who were the Roman emperors? Where did they come from? Sukarno, our founding father, literally was abroad. He had to speak Dutch. He had to understand international politics. Like, so third culture kids get a bad rep now. Understandably so in some aspects, like you said, the bubble, the whatever. But if you study our history, those founding fathers were third culture kids. In a sense.
Maybe third culture kid. Maybe some of them were.
Yeah, some of them.
But
not
the
all.
common denominator is that they've been able to go out there. They've been able to explore other parts of the world, and I feel like this is very I talk about this in my book. Fun fact, I'm an author, and I have
buy her book. What's her book?
Transient, The Bridge Between Worlds. It's linked down below.
Oh, wow.
But I wrote down, this is an actual quote from my book, that the beauty of, I talked about this in the context of my education, but it's both actually our education and our upbringing. Not just the international education, but an international upbringing of traveling the world. And in my case, not necessarily traveling the world as much as you did, but like getting exposure to the world by proxy of my friends, right? By proxy of my environment. And I wrote the beauty of our upbringing is not only in how it has allowed us to envision what the future could look like, but to actually go out there and see it for ourselves. Like, we've been out of Indonesia, we to see the future. And okay, maybe some people have contentions with how I'm wording it, but you get what I mean, right? We've been outside of Indonesia, we've seen the alternatives of what Indonesia could be. It's right there, we've seen it, we've touched its land, we have we've smelled it, we've tasted it, we've felt it in our own hands, so it's so if we're able to bring back the progress and innovation that we see out there and give it back to the country and community that has raised us, I'm why not do that, right? So that's why I have contentions with people whenever they say, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. That's the English quote. There's yang bahasa Indonesia punya itu apa sih yang orang Indo suka ngomong? Di mana kaki injak bumi?
Di mana bumi berpijak di situ. Even I butchered the quote.
Di mana
bumi dipijak, di situ langit dijunjung.
What does that even? Where? Di mana langit dibijak? What does bijak?
Di mana bumi dipijak?
Pijak.
Pijak is like
to step on.
Step on. Di situ langit dijunjung. It's like di situ the sky that we aspire to.
Okay,
but it's not a literal translation, but
right. But that is basically the Indonesian version of when
sort
in
of
Rome.
what one woman's do. Sort of.
And I feel like it's a cop out. It's a cop out for lazy people to just be able to justify sticking to the status quo because they don't want to see change.
Yeah, agree.
And even when in Rome, do as the Romans do. There's context to everything. I understand respecting cultural norms. This actually, I was thinking about this in the context of, let's say, when we want to bring up the topic of LGBT.
Right.
And how a lot of Indonesians, they think it's some Western import. First of all, no, it's not. Read your history.
Indonesia has the history of LGBT.
Indonesia actually has a very, very queer history prior to Western colonization. And
makanya
invasion.
di Jogja, kalian tahu nggak ada tempat namanya, gue lupa banget nama tempat di Jogja, research yourself. Itu sejarahnya baik banget.
Jogja's actually very queer, but that's besides the point. But you hear a lot of the whole bijak langit junjung quote being thrown around in the context of LGBT. And how a lot of people they make the argument LGBT is a Western import, blah blah blah, and it's they try to frame the argument as if we're here in Indonesia, the culture is to not respect LGBT. So when you're over here, then don't be shoving your LGBT agenda down our fucking throats. And it's here's the thing, even when you go to a certain country, yes, there is. Respect their local customs. And I agree. You respect their local customs, respect the way that they go about, their way of life and all of that. But, and maybe you and I might disagree on this one. And I know a lot of people listening to this that they would disagree, but I would argue if your customs and your way of life and your culture is built upon the foundations of oppression and subjugation of a marginalized group, that's not something that I want to respect. That's not something that ought to be respected.
And that's an interesting point, because it's called the cultural fallacy. Sorry, it's called the tradition fallacy. I forgot what the fallacy is called. Just because something is tradition and culture does not mean it to be good.
And you know what? You're
Right.
a law student, so let me put that in a
Right.
context of law. Just because something is legal don't mean it's right.
Exactly my point.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not gonna go deep inside this LGBT talk, but what I'm trying to say is that please have that perspective in mind, right? Think whatever you want for the LGBT rights in Indonesia. Up to you. I'm not gonna go deep into this topic because it's a whole nother storm.
Yeah, that's a whole different can
That's
of
another
worms.
storm. But what I'm trying to say is that gue mau zoom out lagi. Just because we say this, banyak sekali menurut gua juga custom Indonesia yang udah bagus. So again, we're not gonna negativize whatever that word is. Stigmatize Indonesia. Karena jujur, sometimes the individualism of Western culture does not sit well with me. Sometimes.
Wow, and that's coming from a...
That's coming from me who lives in Scandinavia.
Yeah.
Sometimes, no matter how much you dislike it, the collectivism dan gotong royong Indonesia itu is very beautiful at times.
I will say...
At times. Gitu kan.
And I will say, and you know, my friends, they know this of me, and I feel like people online, they even get the sense from me of like, I'm a very individualistic person, like I'm very American in that sense. Yeah. And even then, something that I've said this before on I think my 26th birthday episode that I did with Peter, where I for how much a lot of the times, actually not sometimes, but for how much a lot of the times I fucking hate being back here. I'm actually really glad I moved back here. And I talked about how actually, if anything, I'm so glad I moved back here because it's made me a much better person in the sense that it rounded me out. It rounded me out. I'm so glad that because I grew up, again, international schools, westernized, Western values, individualism, and international schools, we tend to be very liberal. Very liberal.
Tend to, yeah.
And then I moved to LA, which is like, hello.
Liberal
like,
heaven.
Yeah, like it's the mecca of leftism, right?
Yeah.
And then, so moving back here forced me to separate myself from that a little bit at the very least, and gave me a different perspective, right? So even with individualism, and I'm a very firm proponent of individualism, but in context. There's context to it. And I, you know, for how much I advocate for individualism, again, in certain contexts, collectivism
Ada bagusnya. At times.
Look, I'm an extrovert, right? So I like company. So like you know, there's context to it. Also, really quickly, I almost called you Scandinavian. No, I want to ask you.
Yeah.
At what point did you start calling yourself Indonesian? Like when people ask you, no, hold on. No, because you know how it's like the perpetual third culture kid dilemma whenever people ask you where you're from?
Yeah. Always.
Growing up, what did you say?
Growing up, funnily enough, every time I'm abroad, I'm very proud to be Indonesian.
Jancho.
Every time I'm abroad,
Cuma
what are you? Indonesian. I mean, you know, so I was.
So that you get exotic points, right?
So that I get, because I was the only Indonesian.
Ah.
Did you get it? So and people was like, huh? This guy, what the fuck is Indonesia? Right? So
yeah.
So by the way, that should be an Instagram handle. There's what is up Indonesia. There's what the fuck is Indonesia. I mean, there should be an Instagram handle. What is up Indonesia? Please make one. It should be filled with great things.
I'm claiming it.
Yeah. So I used to be very, very like, I'm Indonesian. So people be like, who is this kid? Right? So I get the special points. Exactly my point.
Yeah.
But funnily enough, it tracked out very fast for me.
Yeah.
Specifically for me, once Skinny Indonesian 24 blew up, automatically people knew me as the Skinny Indonesian. So my name gave me that very fast label. Oh, who's that Skinny Indonesian?
Oh, that's
because my name. Because I made that username back when I was in high school. Why? Because I was the only Indonesian in my school. I was skinny. So Skinny Indonesian 24. Rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. That's why I was always Skinny Indonesian 24. That simple. No philosophy behind it. Love it. I came back. The name stuck with me once my channel blew up. That's the Skinny Indonesian. Orang Indonesia kurus. So actually that label got to me very fast and I was very proud. Immediately. Jadi buat gue pribadi ada very contextual kayak, itu si Skinny Indonesia. Makanya I was like, oh iya gue orang Indonesia. Makanya very specific contextual to me.
Yeah.
That's why,
Yeah, no, because a lot of, like, you know how within third culture kid circles, it's always like, either the easiest thing is to default to where your parents are from. Like
yeah,
you say,
they just think, nyokap gue orang Jawa, ibu gue orang ini, atau bapak gue orang ini, ya paham.
Yeah. The difficult thing for me was always like, if you're layers on top of layers. So for me, it's that I'm from Indonesia, but I'm not Indonesian because I'm Chinese, right? Because
there's that layer as well.
Bro, I would go abroad and dead ass, like, I'll tell them like I'm Indonesian, and if they have an idea of what Indonesians look like, it would always be like, why do you look like that then? Like, okay, right, and then it's like,
because they have a specific certain stereotype.
Yeah. Well, now if people ask me where I'm from, I would just. The problem too is that some people, they ask that question, they don't know whether they are asking for ethnicity or nationality. That's also a problem.
I understand.
But I mean,
so what would you say now? Because right now, at this point in my life,
just Indonesian.
Yeah. Ever since 5 years ago, ever since my career went off, I'm very proud of being Indonesian.
Did you ever had a phase where, like, either you felt like you had to, or you dead ass had to, like, always explain, like, well, I was born here, but then, like, I moved here, and then I moved here, and then like
because of the way I look and my skin tone, nobody ever asked me that.
Interesting.
Right? Because gue orang Flores, orang Timur, so I was always exempt from that. Karena people justru kebalik. I'm Catholic.
Yeah.
People looked at me and people assumed otherwise. Gue kebalik. Padahal gue ngomong, gue orang Flores tuh semuanya orang Katolik. But people always like justru the Chinese Indonesians came up to me and didn't believe I was Catholic.
Oh, pikirnya Muslim ya?
Yeah, which is fine, but justru I have that privilege because I look like the stereotypical Indonesian. Yeah. Nobody asked me that. So when I say Indonesian, jadi orang gak kayak, yakin lu Dov? Yeah. People get a bit susah because of my last name, Da Lopez. That's where I have to explain. Dulu Portugis jajah Flores. Yeah. Makanya nama-nama orang Flores, Da Lopez, Da Silva, Da Cunha, Fernandez, Da Gomez. That's why my name is Da Lopez. But I'm very Indonesian. Yeah. But because we're Catholic, because people always forget not only the Dutch colonized us, the Portuguese came before. Right? So I always have to explain that part because people think Da Lopez is a stage name. No, it's my proper name. It's a proper name. So I never got that. Because of my skin tone, because of me and everything.
Oh, that's interesting.
But I do understand that the Chinese Indonesians specifically, they have a specific history behind Indonesia that I cannot fathom with because I don't have that background at all. Yeah. So yeah.
Oh, that's very interesting.
So it's very specific to my case. Nobody ever questioned I was from Indonesia. Indonesia? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, gitu.
Right. It was.
Yaudah. Yaudah Andovi.
Yeah.
Sip, gitu.
Yeah, because for me it was always like, I had to explain because I know that they're gonna ask.
They're gonna ask. Yeah.
They're gonna ask. It's either then why do you speak English?
Yeah.
Did you ever get that?
Mereka selalu ngomong, why is your English so good? Itu aja.
Yeah.
Itu aja. Why is your English so good? And I was like, I used to. That's where I have to explain.
Right, and that's where it's infuriating. Where you don't just get that from people abroad. It's one thing for you to get it from people abroad, but for you to also just constantly get that here. And I feel like for you that was like.
I always get that.
When you first moved back here, and
people call me Bule Depok.
Yeah.
And I was like, who is this kid speaking in English all the time?
Right.
And I spoke Jaksel before Jaksel was a thing.
Oh, you did that.
Jaksel was a thing in 2016. The whole literally I spoke it not to be trendy. It's just the way I spoke.
Were you the one who started the trend?
I started from way before. So 2012, I used to speak. My first YouTube videos. So I just came back from India. That's the way I speak. Yeah. Dan in India, I spoke that not to sound Jaksel. Yeah. It's just the way my brain thought at that time.
Yeah, dude. I'm not gonna lie. It's really hard. Sometimes, like, what trips me up is that there is this sort of negative connotation attached to, and okay, look, I get it. Considering my background, I get it, right? But I feel like it's very unfair that people just immediately make the assumption that every time, Indah G's speaking in English is just because she wants to show off that she can speak English, when it's like, bro, that's not the case at all, man. Like, dude, do you honestly think that if I could speak both Indonesian and English equally fluently, that I would not want to show that off?
Yeah. It's people. The lowest hanging fruit of argument that I hate is just because you speak English. First of all, just because you speak English, you don't love Indonesia. Yeah, that's the lowest hanging argument.
Oh, that, and even lower than that. Oh, just because you speak in English, you think you're smart. I never said that.
No, I know many English speaking Indonesians that are fucking dumb.
No, and
so the argument is.
You know what's interesting? I feel like, okay, correct me if I'm wrong. If anybody else maybe can debate this, but. why I feel like only Indonesians say shit like that, where it's like, oh, you think you're so smart just because you speak in English? Like, you don't hear that from Indians or Singaporeans or Malaysians.
You don't. You actually don't.
You like.
That's actually a great point.
Like,
I don't hear that often.
Right? You don't hear that from
No,
any
I
other
don't.
culture. Not even like in Latin America. Like not even like in like African countries. Like, correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah.
Correct us if we're wrong. But it's like that's such an Indonesian thing, and it's like, well, you can, this is where you can. I love sociology, so this is where you can like do a sociological analysis of that, right? Where I guess like because in Indonesia, like there's this connotation of like if you speak in English, that means like you've had access to education, like you go to like a fancy private school, and that means you're smart, and it's like they draw these connections, but those connections are not even like true.
No, I just want to say this straight and loud to the camera. Just because you speak English does not equate you to being smart.
Right.
Please, I know so many dumb English speakers out there.
Yeah. Go to America.
Yeah. There you go.
Go to America.
You said it, I didn't say it. Listen, I know many brilliant. Gua ke UI. Di UI ada banyak anak-anak dari daerah yang brilian.
Yeah.
But they don't speak English. Does that mean they're stupid? No.
Yeah.
These people are way smarter than I am.
Right.
Oh, holy shit, they're geniuses. Just because they don't learn English doesn't... Again, please, these arguments, please give a better argument.
Right.
If your argument is, oh, you speak English, does that mean you have had the opportunity to learn at different places? Nah, itu argumen yang gue mungkin bakal terima. Itu argumen yang got you, bro. I got that argument.
Yeah. With me, where I'm at is, okay, Peter, you can admit, right? Like for the last 2 to 3 years that I've been back, my Indonesian's improved a lot, right? Okay, yeah. See, Peter can admit, Peter can agree that means it's true. But it's just, I don't know. You were talking about that 6 months program, that thing that you did.
Yeah, no. I studied Indonesian very, very diligently.
How?
Reading a lot of books. I read a lot of Indonesian books.
Okay.
Just read. But the thing is, I gave this tip to Indah on the phone. It worked for me. Does not necessarily work for anybody else.
Okay.
Every time I revert back to my English way of thinking, everybody has a pause or connectivity word. What does that mean, Andovi? Contoh, if I want to talk to you and I'm thinking, I always have a, well, you see...
Filler words.
Filler words. So, you see, those words. That triggers you to go back to English. So what I did was have my filler words be Indonesian. So I'd be like, tapi gini ya. My filler words became Indonesian, so it triggered my brain to speak Indonesian. So I tricked my brains. So if I want to speak to Indonesian, I'll be like, jadi gini ya. Udah otomatis. Ketika gue ngomong, jadi gini. Tapi, gimana kalau, those filler words that you have, the ums, the as, and the menurut gua, tapi get your own filler words. Make it Indonesian.
I guess mine would be.
So what will be your? Mine was tapi menurut gua ya. Nah, that was mine. Tapi menurut gua ya. Tapi menurut gua ya. Loh, gua langsung bikin Indonesia otomatis.
Yeah.
Gua ngomong itu langsung go back Indonesia, and if I want to go back to English, well.
I guess,
What will be your filler words, OGs?
I see what you're saying, because I mean, like switching languages is like flicking a switch.
Yeah,
and you need some trigger to like flick the switch. I guess mine is jadi, maybe. Jadi, maybe.
Right,
I don't know. But I mean, that's switching from one language. Like, dude, I'm talking about like how the fuck, like, okay, reading.
Oh, I diligently read books, like and like high sastra books. Like in which I did not fucking understand.
What level of Indonesian were you at when you first moved back here? Cause dude, I'm gonna be so honest. I feel like if I'm gonna be, aku kalau harus kayak bener-bener jujur with myself, I think I'm at like a 5th grade level.
I was at a level where I could not write my FHUI papers in Indonesian.
What level is that then?
I have no idea. But I had to. So if I had to write about, tolong jelaskan bagaimana hubungan antara hukum internasional dan hukum Indonesia, bla bla bla. I had to go English.
Yeah.
I had to go English full. So I couldn't go Indonesian. Because it was complex thoughts.
Yeah.
So when I had to go to complex thoughts, I was like, but now complex thoughts gampang. Tapi That was my level.
Okay.
Tapi conversationally gue bisa kayak anjing santai banget kali. Kayak gue bisa, I could revert back to that.
I can't even really do conversation.
Coba, let's do a challenge. Let's do a challenge, a fun challenge. For the next 1 minute and 30 seconds, gue sama Indaji akan ngomong bahasa Indonesia. Udah siap Indaji?
Nah tuh kan ya, maksud aku kayak
Bisa lah kan kemarin lu ngomong sama Anis bisa kok gue lihat.
baca skrip.
Dan gue suka banget setiap kali lu mikir bahasa Indonesia, aksen lu berubah.
Tapi itu semua orang gak sih? Kalau kamu orang yang bilingual, yang bisa
orang yang berbicara 2 bahasa maksud lo?
There's no word for
I'm fucking.
There's no word for bilingual.
I'm fucking with you. Enggak, I'm just with you.
Iya, yang bisa bicara 2 bahasa itu fenomena yang sering terjadi, di mana kamu punya bukan cuma logat dan nada dan volume juga, tapi personalitasnya kamu berbicara satu bahasa dibandingkan bahasa yang lain. That's a thing.
Lu udah ngomong dengan sangat-sangat baik. Cuman gue lihat ada beberapa diksi lu yang lu gak ganti bahasa Indonesia. Personalitas tuh kepribadian. Which is fine, right? Which is fine, right? Jadi emang lucunya itu, that's fine Indah.
Yeah.
Itu gak apa-apa.
Yeah.
Tinggal gue butuh waktu banyak untuk I want to say breakdown.
Yeah.
Untuk menjatuhkan dan membagi secara rata diksi-diksi bahasa Indonesia. Jadi personality kepribadian, fenomena kejadian.
Fenomena is not a word in Indo.
Fenomena is an Indonesian word.
Oh, okay.
It is. Tapi kata sarapan. Sarapan tuh kata-kata yang contoh tadi fenomena. Ya tadi from English Indonesian.
Oh, okay.
Kayak personalitas itu sarapan.
Oh.
Ada bahasa Indonesianya?
Sarapan.
Iya.
I heard sarapan. Oh, okay.
Absorption.
Kayak
contoh, ketika kita ngomong, kita dinner yuk.
Yeah.
Dinner itu udah jadi Indonesia.
Yeah.
Tapi sebenarnya enggak.
Yeah, those are adopted. Yeah, those are adopted words. Yeah.
Sarapan tuh kayak apa lagi ya? Kayak gue lagi mikir lagi kayak, nah, lu mau makan ini, tapi lu mau makan ini di box nggak?
Yeah.
Box kan udah bahasa Indonesia udah. Box itu ada bahasanya, yaitu sebentar ada kotak. Ada kata-katanya.
Oh, kotak tuh bukannya bentuk.
Bentuk. Kotak yang dia square, tapi dalam konteks ini kotak yang dia box.
Oh my gosh.
Konteks itu bahasa sarapan. Karena konteks diambil dari CONTXT, konteks.
Yeah.
Konteks bahasa Indonesia adalah sebentar ini konteks ada bahasanya, anyway, this is a fun game. This is a fun game.
Come on, UI kid.
Konteks itu, gue lost it. Konteks itu bahasa Indonesianya. See, I even failed.
Peter aja nggak tahu. Ayo apa? Konteks dalam bahasa.
I'm sorry guys, I'm sorry. I need to know this.
You failed your alma mater.
I failed my alma mater. Konteks, Google Translate. This is a fun game actually. It's actually a fun game for me. I don't know if for
Google
anybody.
Translate. That's the thing. I feel like
ini situasi dan
kondisi.
Sikon.
Situasi dan by the way, kondisi itu from condition.
Yeah.
Jadi kondisi itu keadaan.
Oh ya.
Nah, jadi tergantung situasi dan keadaan, konteks.
Oh my gosh.
Emang diksi-diksinya gue aja butuh search.
You know, bahasa Indonesia itu sebenarnya bahasa yang sangat susah.
It's actually lucunya bahasa Indonesia itu kan dapat sejarahnya dari Sanskrit. Dari Sanskrit India sama Jawa lama, Jawa kuno. Yeah. Jadi gabungan antara Jawa kuno. You want me to blow your mind right now? It's gonna be fucking crazy. Mau tahu gak kenapa Senin, Selasa, Rabu, Jumat, Kamis, Sabtu, Minggu tuh ngomong kayak gitu?
We got that from the Arabs, no? That's Arabic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Sabtu Minggu dari Portugal.
Yeah.
Sabados 2 minggu.
Yeah. Asbak Dutch.
Dutch.
Wortel.
Jadi we have Indonesia again. What Romans do?
Yeah.
Well, what is that? Our language is not even Indonesian.
Yeah, our language is not even Roman.
Toilet, wastafel.
Yeah.
Dutch.
That's Dutch.
Handuk, handuk.
Yeah.
From Dutch. So even words that you think are Indonesian, handuk, Dutch.
Yeah, exactly.
Sapatu, zapatos.
Yeah.
Kursi is actually Sanskrit. Kursi itu kursi. Dunia.
Yeah.
Hindi, Sanskrit.
Yeah. It's a very diverse, like
very
diverse. There's a lot of dialects. There's a lot of dialects and dialects.
Actually, if we want to be really nit fucking picky,
yeah,
we're actually the most Indonesian out of them all. if Indonesia is built on the mixture of every single culture, if we define it as that, then I proclaim that I and Indah G are the most Indonesian. Everyone's gonna hate. But you get my point, right?
Yeah, no, I get your
Because
point.
clearly, kayak even kita berdoa, amin, zakat, mati, itu all dapat dari bahasa luar.
Yeah, everything. Like there's very little, with the exception of like, I guess harus bahasa Indonesia itu, bahasa Indonesia is an amalgamation of all of the foreign influences that we have had throughout time.
Dan juga bahasa Jawa kuno. Ya, dan juga bahasa Melayu kuno juga ada.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, if you want authentic Indonesian, you have to speak bahasa daerah kayak bahasa Jawa, bahasa Sunda. Now that's still authentic. Yeah, but bahasa Indonesia, like, there's no like.
It's amalgamation. That's hubungan perkumpulan antara semua kata-kata ini.
Yeah, amalgamation, perkumpulan. Yeah, see, I don't know. Like going from English to Indonesian is like, I don't know. Maybe this is just subjective. I feel like Indonesian is such a long language.
It is. But fun fact. I love giving fun facts.
Yeah.
Indonesian, there's a study that says Indonesian is it's the easiest language to learn for foreigners.
No, I disagree.
I know you do. But for foreigners, they come here, compare us to Mandarin, Korean. Don't see it from a perspective of I spoke English all my life. Think of it, you're a German guy.
Yeah.
Would you rather learn Mandarin or Indonesian?
Oh, Indonesian.
From that perspective, so pertama, we don't have past tense, future tense, first tense.
But see, ironically, that's why it's hard for me.
Because you studied
there's no structure.
Yeah. Indonesia tuh kayak tomorrow I'm going to eat. Sama, besok gue mau makan. Gue mau makan. Makan doesn't become makan.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't change. Eat, eaten.
Yeah.
Makan is makan. Kemarin makan, besok makan, hari ini makan.
Yeah.
Now, for foreigners who studied all this, right? Holy shit. No female words. No der, die, das. In German, there's der, die, das for female, neutral, male.
Yeah.
So Indonesian, from an outsider's perspective, there's actually a study. And Mandarin's the hardest. Mandarin and Arabic are the ones who are like,
yeah,
what's happening in my life?
Yeah. I feel like Mandarin and, well, actually, I don't know. A lot of people have proven me wrong when it comes to Mandarin, but Arabic is the one I feel like if you don't start them young, like you're like game over.
Thai is apps. It is because Thai is just, what is that language?
Yeah.
I mean, because they're their own language. Because the Thai people were never formally invaded. The Thai people had many people coming to them, but they were no. So their language is very, very. So if you read Thai now and you look at their old manuscript from 10,000 years ago in the temples, exactly the same. Of course, with differences, of course.
Yeah.
Beda kalau orang Jawa sekarang baca orang Jawa lama, right? But if you read Thai now and from the monuments and temples, the current Thai people can be like, yo, I can read this shit.
Damn, they preserve that shit.
They preserve that shit. Of course, with differences, of course.
Yeah. But if anything, because Indonesian's a very flexible language.
Very flexible.
But that's what makes it hard for me.
I see.
I don't know, because I'm so used to...
Yeah.
English is a very structured language.
Yeah.
And I like that about it because I know what the fuck I'm doing.
Right.
I don't know what the fuck I'm doing most of the time when I speak in Indonesian, man. And then it's not even just like, I don't know, like...
But to counterpoint you, I have to be that devil's advocate.
Go ahead.
Sometimes in English, there are rules that don't make any sense.
Oh yeah, for sure.
like, wait, what? Like, for example, it's like lead, lead, read, read. You get my point. There's some, what's the word for it? For grammatical rules that...
Conjunctions?
Bukan, there's... lupa banget. Ada kata-kata yang gak ada aturannya. Aduh, gue lupa banget namanya di grammar, gue lupa banget. Yeah, irregular verbs. Yeah, irregular verbs where, for example, ada drive, ada drove.
Yeah.
Ada ride, ada road. Right?
Yeah.
Ride, road. Yeah. Tapi thrive itu bukan throve.
Oh yeah.
Apaan kan? Kenapa? Kalau aturan harusnya thrive jadi throve dong.
Yeah.
Nah, maksud gua itu yang di Inggris yang when I learned English back in the day, because my first language was Norwegian and German.
Oh goddamn.
Because Norway and German, I went to a German school. So when I learned English, I was like, why is this not throve? Why is it eaten, ate. Tapi go, went. Bukannya goad. You know, logika dasar bukannya if you wanna go, did I go yesterday? No, you went. Fuck you. What are these rules? It took me so like wait, what?
But going from Norwegian and German to English, like I would have thought that would have been like a
so my brain shattered completely because I learned my first language because I went to a German school for TCK and SD.
Yeah.
I spoke German.
Yeah.
So when I was in Denmark and I went to international school, I had to relearn English in Denmark. So it was a whole thing. But then when I learned English, I had to learn Danish because all my friends spoke Danish, and Danish is a whole like jeg elsker dig, jeg spiser. It's a whole thing. It's a whole language.
Yeah.
So I had to like really learn that. And I learned Hindi. I learned conversational Hindi.
Yeah.
Mera naam Andovi hai, ab kaisa ho? Main pune pani pina hai. So I had to learn Hindi all the way. So it was but conversational Hindi.
Yeah.
I had to.
Yeah.
Life.
You had to life.
I had to adapt very fast. Because if I didn't speak Hindi, my friends would bully me.
Did you speak Indonesian with your parents at home?
Yes. That was the one rule my parents said to me.
Oh, that's
Andovi, Jo, Pasca. Lu mau di negara manapun di dunia, balik ke rumah ngomong bahasa Indonesia. And I think that sort of grounded us. Of course, the Indonesian was patah-patah ya. Indonesian was, Mama, I want to makan dong. Like, of course. Tapi my mom and dad was like, lu balik ke rumah, ngomong bahasa Indonesia.
I think the pressure was so much higher for you guys because you guys were physically and even mentally and emotionally so far detached from Indonesian, from your roots, that your parents felt like, no, we have to do every single little thing to make sure that those roots stay in fucking intact.
Yep.
You know?
And my parents kayak hafalin lagu-lagu nasional, hafalin lagu-lagu daerah. My mom and dad were very, very strict. And back in the day, I hated it. But now I see the benefits.
That set you up.
That gave me a foundation.
That gave you a foundation. I had zero foundations.
Maybe, but that has its positives as well.
Andovi.
It has its positives.
Andovi, I don't know what the fucking Pancasila is. I know what they are.
You know what they are now.
No. As in, I don't memorize them even until now.
Oh, okay.
And it's not because I don't want to. I know what they are. I can explain it to people what they are in English.
Paham.
But I don't know.
But if you
I can't memorize it.
Ketuanya sama Esa, it will take you a while to know.
I know number one. That's easy. The other.
Number 4, the longest.
Yeah, I know. No. See,
don't worry.
No, and it's like,
kerakyatan yang dipimpin oleh hikmah kebijaksanaan dalam pemusyawaratan perwakilan. So it takes me time too untuk mikir itu.
Yeah.
It takes me time too. Don't worry.
Also because you fakultas hukum,
so
you have to know.
This.
Yeah. No, but see that's the thing. Like look, your upbringing was very, like, your parents were very strict about, like, you gotta know this, you gotta know that, but it set you up good in life, like now, especially with what you're doing now. That's the thing that I feel like a little bit robbed on, right? Is because, like, now I'm in a position where, and I think people are starting to get the sense that, like, I'm starting to become more a loud voice in Indonesian social political discourse, but it's this bitch who basically, like, no cultural context, she don't even speak the language, so it's like, it gives me what's the word? Imposter syndrome? Like, I guess, it's imposter syndrome. It's a sense of, like, I shouldn't even be doing this.
Indah, as long as you have the will to do it, no matter how slow, no matter how fast, no matter what your rate of learning is, go for it.
That's why I gotta get advice from you. Like,
gua tuh selalu ngomong kayak gini. Gua selalu ngomong gini. For all you Indaji haters, for you people who think you hate Indaji, imagine if she didn't care and she didn't do any of this. She could be completely apathetic and be completely doing this the otherwise.
That's an option.
Right? Yeah. She could be like, fuck you guys, bye-bye. Yoda, let me do my own life. But she chose to do this. So cut her some slack. Not everyone learns the same rate.
Yeah.
Ya udah.
And not everyone was even taught the same thing.
Betul.
Right? Yeah.
Dari kecil, kita sekolah Pancasila disuruh hafal. Pembukaan undang-undang dasar disuruh hafal. Jadi pasti orang jadi, you know.
Well, and
you weren't in that position. And it's fine.
Yeah.
Ya udah.
And it's even just like, sorry to cut you off just now, but, like, the cultural context too, of, like, so much of cultural context, you get it through the people around you. You get it through friends that I don't have. I'm not saying that I don't have friends. I don't have kata kasarnya real Indonesian friends.
Oh, itu kata kasarnya. Okay,
how did you start making those?
Once you're in UI, you're just there.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Once you're in UI, you're just.
Right.
I made friends with, and untungnya UI adalah UI itu bukan cuma anak Jakarta. dari seluruh Indonesia ada di UI.
Percampuran.
So I had to learn about orang dari Banjarmasin, Kalimantan, Bali, NTT. So I was, ya itu bagusnya. So I love that.
Percampuran beragam budaya. No.
Gak apa-apa. Indah Jis, gak apa-apa.
No, it's a
Bineka Tunggal Ika.
beragam budaya. Was that correct?
Yeah.
Oh my god, thank you.
Berbeda-beda tapi satu, beragam budaya.
Yeah.
Unity and diversity, all that stuff.
Okay, so read a lot of books to pick up on
Read a lot of
vocabulary.
Watch a lot of Indonesian movies.
I should do that.
Right, it really helps. Like it helped me learning English to watch English
I think
movies.
you know what? I'm gonna be so honest. I don't
Listen to Indonesian music.
I listen to Indonesian
Right,
music.
that
No, but
helps.
that doesn't help. That helps with vocabulary actually, but that doesn't help with like.
Okay.
I think where I'm lacking, a lot of people they always tell me I don't have a problem with my accent. I have a problem with my tone, my melody.
Oh, your melody is still
Like I don't have an Indonesian
so
melody.
your intonation?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like there's a difference between saying, there's a different like for example, karena aku hari ini mau pergi ke situ.
Oh,
The tone.
Because you're saying it because I want to go there.
Karena aku hari ini ingin pergi. Like people can tell from the tone, the melody of it.
Karena hari ini gue mau pergi ke situ.
Yeah, that's
karena I get it. I get it.
And I don't have a reference. Like what's hard for me, and I hope like people could like if I put this out on a podcast, can people please stop questioning me about it? Like it gives me.
She's trying, guys. Indah G's trying.
I'm trying because I don't know if I know how to say something in an Indonesian tone. It's because I've heard somebody say before. I just copy it.
So you're like sort of adapting and copy pasting from terms you've heard everywhere.
So I copy paste everything. So if I don't have a precedent for like I if there's no precedence to it, like if I don't hear somebody say it before me, I don't know how to say it, like how it should go. It's like the tone. So I guess actually I'm gonna be so for real. I don't think I've ever watched an Indonesian movie.
You should.
I should.
There's a lot of good ones.
Yeah.
And it's fine. Guys, don't give her shit for this.
Yeah.
It's fine. Never say never. Too late. Better late than never. Oh my God. It took me time to get that. Better late than never, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Some people start at 0. Some people start at 26 or 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So who cares? I mean, like, whatever.
Yeah.
Daripada Indah Ji nggak coba,
That is true.
ya udah gitu.
That is true. You gotta give me props for trying. I mean, I guess language is one thing, but cultural differences.
Dude, until now,
Sampai
I
sekarang.
still don't get some jokes. It's until now. So until now, gue lagi nongkrong nih.
Yeah.
Lagi nongkrong nih. Oh iya men, ya no guys, gue kayak I don't get it.
Skena? What's skena?
Scene.
Skena itu
Kayak
zaman dulu sebenarnya sama kayak nongkrong.
ya.
Ada suah, kelana.
Ya benar, suah kelana. But it took me time because look, getting to know the jokes, that's a whole
That's
nother level.
That is contingent upon cultural like
Right.
environmental exposure.
Nah, sekarang gini, I have a show on TikTok called Andovi Andrea Show.
Yeah.
My partner, Andreas, born and raised in Indonesia, lived all his life in Bandung. So many times he makes fun of me when he makes jokes about Indonesia. And I'm just like, and he's like,
You pretend to get it?
yeah, and he's like, Andovi lu nggak tahu kan? Nggak tahu. And everyone's like, Andovi dasar lu nggak tahu lu bo. When he makes jokes about, iya kan? Dulu pas kita makan kecil kita makan permen kaki, itu kan permen kaki yang merah.
Oh,
Nggak tahu kan?
I know I do.
For me,
Yeah.
because I didn't live here.
Yeah.
So I never experienced the whole permen kaki. So I was like, huh? Why are you eating feet? But people get permen kaki merah itu, lu tau kan sih yang, yeah, you know right, permen kaki merah.
Yeah.
When that joke was coming, I was like, yo, this is weird. This is a fetish or something. But no, in Indonesia, I used to eat that permen.
Yeah.
But I didn't live here, so I never went through that.
Yeah, you don't have the cultural context.
There you go. And people always laugh until this day.
Okay. I guess that's just even after 14 years.
Even after 14 years, people are like, Adobe, you don't get our jokes. Like, whatever.
You just have to accept the fact that like you're built different, you're raised different, and it's like you're always just gonna be a little bit different, but that's like not a bad thing. Yeah, it's not a bad thing. Yeah, it's not a bad thing.
It's
but
actually beautiful because in my inner circle of friends, we joke about it.
Yeah.
It becomes a thing. Kayak, ada Andovi, yo kita ngomong bahasa Inggris yuk, setengah Inggris yuk. It's a joke, and I udah terima aja.
Formal Indonesian in a way is a lot easier than colloquial.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree?
Formal Indonesian has that bakuness and that
Structure.
structure very, very.
Yeah.
Sedangkan Indonesian Whoa, Indonesian yang nongkrong Indonesian, bro.
Tongkrong, dude.
Nongkrong Indonesian is a whole different level.
Dude, oh my God, please God, I want one day, I want to be Indonesian enough where I can be in a tongkrongan. I want it so fucking bad. I want it. Are you in a tongkrongan?
Yes, I am. I'm in a tongkrongan.
The problem is,
Will my mom let me be in a tongkrong? Fuck my mother. Fuck my mother. I don't care. I want to be Indonesian enough where I can be in a tongkrongan, bro. I want to be in a tongkrongan. I want to be cool.
The moment this is the
gulting berarti.
yeah. Gulting is one of those tongkrongan, by the way. The moment you know you're Indonesian, proper,
Yes.
Informally, is lu duduk,
Kaki
angkat,
angkat.
ngerokok dan kopi sama teman-teman. If you don't smoke, apa-apa. Maksudnya nongkrong, ngopi, makan gorengan sama teman-teman di pinggir jalan, and you talk about everything in bahasa Indonesia. That's when udah.
Can you do that?
Of course. I'm 2 years ago. I passed that stage.
It started 2 years ago.
It started, yeah, not that long. Before COVID, actually. And before COVID, and then baru hit me, and then COVID hit, and I don't want to talk to each other.
Okay.
Anak UI masih nggak suka nongkrong.
Yeah, anak UI itu harus nongkrong. It's our thing.
I would have thought because UI is such a prestigious school that all you do is study.
No. UI.
Is that UGM?
Yeah. UI itu gini. UI itu kebagi 4.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you the social dynamics of UI. UI itu kebagi sama anak-anak pintar, anak-anak nongkrong total, anak-anak organisasi, sama anak-anak yang party yang gue nggak tahu mereka masuk UI gimana. Jujur aja.
Okay. No different than back in the States then.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
Exactly. So, UI itu anak tongkrongan UI itu benar-benar, aduh.
Wow.
But I was forced into that quick, and it was an adjustment period. People made fun of me, but maybe one of my last points because I really gotta pee.
Yeah.
What helped me was I played basketball. And for guys, I'm not saying girls don't play sports. I get it.
Yeah.
For guys, sports, it's such a barrier transcending thing where it doesn't matter what language you speak. Oh, lu main bola, lu main basket, done.
Yeah.
And I don't know what is the equivalent of that for girls. Of course, girls can play sports too. Yeah, Andovi, I'm not being misogynistic. Don't kill me. But the point is, dulu basketball for me was such a universal language. Gue ke senior gue di Eva, people make fun of me. Main basket yuk.
Yeah.
Selesai. Once you play basketball, once you defense, rebound, you block, you hit each other, udah brother, yo bro makan yuk di situ, udah selesai. Nah, guys have that. No matter, it's so primal and simple.
Yeah.
Main futsal yuk, main basket yuk, done, udah, whatever, where you're from. Nah, what is that for girls? I don't know. When I was bullied as a kid in Denmark, in Norway, I could play basketball. And for guys, if you can play sports, it's like, nah, we're not gonna bully you. It's a very guy thing. Lu mau secemen apapun, you as nerdy as you are, you don't speak their language. Yo, this guy can shoot a basketball.
Oh.
Right? Which is so sad because a skill of shooting a basketball does not mean you should be accepted by society. Duh.
Yeah.
But for me, it really helped.
Yeah.
Because when the Danish kids came up to me and said, "Look at this Indonesian," I was like, "Play basketball against me." And guys are like, "If I beat you in basketball, I can't bully you." It's a very guy thing. You want to bully me because I'm Indonesian and you're all Danish? Well, I just beat you in basketball, bitch.
Yeah.
What can you? Right?
Tell him.
So for guys, it's like, yo, he beat me 1-on-1. I have no right to bully this kid.
I guess with me, I used to be a music student. I was a music student my whole life. And I did choir. I did gospel choir back in
There you go. That should be the thing. I don't know. I mean,
yeah. I guess
so
yeah.
go karaoke. Tapi karaoke-nya harus lagu-lagu Indonesia. Jadi pasti tahu lah lo. No matter how many times you partied, a couple of iconic Indonesian songs pas come out.
Bro, cinta ini membunuhku.
Cinta ini membunuhku, The Massive. You got it. Cinta Krisye. Cinta.
Oh, akan
ku see you know. There you go. Then it's done, right?
Yeah.
Once you sing, people are like, there you go, you're Indonesian.
Yeah. Sampai sini saja guys. Sampai sini dulu guys. Terima kasih Andovi.
Terima kasih Indah Ji.
Terima kasih too formal. Makasih makasih Andovi.
Ya, makasih Span.
Makasih Andovi udah datang ke show
ke acara ini.
Acara ini.
Sonat Indah Ji tapi Indah G.
Indah gay.
Get it? Not
Oh
Indah
my-
gay karena bahasa gay.
I always said the G, my name stands for girls and gays. So I have no contentions with that.
Terima
But
kasih Indah gay untuk
terima kasih Indah gay udah membuka suara untuk orang gay.
ya boleh juga.
What does membuka suara? Menyuara. There you go. That's what I'm trying to say.
I was talking about the letter G.
G.
Because you say it gay.
Gay.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Yeah.
that was what I meant. But if you want to go there, all the power for you.
No, because now there are people on the internet, they think I'm lesbian.
Because of the G.
But no, because
because
I talk a lot about LGBT. And
okay.
ada beberapa like they think I'm gay. They think I'm LGBT. I'm like, okay, I mean,
Props to you. Whether you're gay or not, up
Yeah.
to you. It's your life.
yeah, but pastikan kalian
Nonton
like,
terus.
comment,
Pastikan kalian suka.
kalian suka, kalian komen.
Kalian komen by the way bahasa sarapan.
Gak ada bahasa Indonesia.
Ada. Pastikan kalian suka. Pastikan kalian menuliskan.
Jancok, gak ada. Gak ada.
Pastikan kalian menuliskan pendapat kalian.
Pastikan kalian menuliskan pendapat kalian dan pastikan kalian subskripsi.
Berlangganan.
Oh my god.
Terima kasih para OG. Thank you.
Kaliuchi?
The OG.
The
OG as in
Kaliuchi.
the OG.
The OGs. All right. Bye OGs.
Bye.
I'm claiming that one.
Ya, dude, take it.
I'm claiming that one. Oh my
Indah,
god.
terima kasih banyak. Thank you. I'm
Bro,
gonna be real quick.
no.
Subscribe, like.